Wrong button.
Yeah, found the right one this time. Anyway, aliens!
I love your intro. That's great. Okay.
They're not aliens.
So this is the same day as our recording that we made before. I don't remember what we were
We're still
talking
face to face. If you've watched all of them, you'll
Yes,
know it.
yeah, there you go. It's the
But
face-to-face recording, and of course we don't have cameras, so you don't know.
Yeah, but who knows when we'll be releasing this, because...
If
we'll be releasing
if we're releasing it, and close the doors. So much. So yeah, today was like a wedding anniversary, what do you call it? Renewal vow thingy for me, which is why we were face to face.
Yay!
Inside baseball. I am mildly sauced today.
And I am not.
Yes, which is actually where I thought we should start the conversation.
Okay, not with the aliens, with me, okay.
Yeah, okay, so backstory to why we're doing this. We were having an interesting conversation about aliens that we thought would be a good place to start. It's the same as it was before. I've been watching the bars. And we thought it'd be a good conversation to record. However, seeing as I am sourced and Michael is not. Sorry, I keep using your name. I can't help it. Should we use your face? No, I'm not going to give you your last name.
Yeah.
You won't be able to find him on the internet, same as me. Although if you manage to somehow
There's a Scottish...
find the picture of me outside the church when I was 6 in a suit, because it's cute.
Yeah, I have put up precisely 0 photos of me on the internet, although other people have, just because...
Can you find stuff of you by searching your name?
If you search my first name, you'll find lots of people like Michael Jordan.
No, like your real name. Obviously, we're not going to say what it is, but...
There are...
You've attested that?
There are some references in results from a club I'm part of that are just the name. As in got first and race type thing, or 10th.
I think there's an old LinkedIn account of mine.
Oh, yeah, I've got...
Which is, like, impossible to delete. I fucking hate LinkedIn. That's beside the point.
Yeah, I'll have to search my name again.
Yeah, that one photo of me from when I was 8. Hooray.
Yeah. The internet doesn't know much about us.
Yeah, that was purposeful. Which is why we changed over to this this new channel. For those of you who are Super Alpha Original Founders Club Edition members, or whatever the fuck we want to call it, who knew about the original channel. I wonder what the click-through rate on that was. There's even in a tier above that about the ones who knew about my thing when I was super long hair hippie guy. I don't know if I've ever shown you a photo of that. No, I used to have hair down to here. And I would do videos ranting. And V1I, who is a psychedelic travel YouTuber, weird, gave me a shout out once and I got like a couple hundred subs off him. Way in the early days. And then I deleted that channel. So if anyone from there ever shows up here, that's actually me. Haha.
You're changeable.
Yeah, I lost that count. I'm so upset about that. I have like 33 videos or something.
Yeah, there was a thing I saw that we were discussing before about, was it 10% of podcasts getting past 3 episodes and 10% of those getting past 20, so hopefully by the time if it ever comes out, we'll be past a few more than that, so 1%ers!
Yeah, you get 1%. Well, it's something that I learned not too long ago, which I thought was like the most encouraging thing I've ever heard in my life. And that was, there is one predictor of success. Yeah, there's lots of predictors, but there's one that's more important than anything else, and it's
not stopping.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Persistence.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how terrible you are at a thing. If you never stop doing it, you will end up making money from it and do it for the rest of your life.
There was a thing I saw about, or heard about that in one of the podcasts as I drove down here. Infinite versus finite games. When America was in Vietnam, which was the example they used in the podcast, they were trying to finish the war and win. They were trying to play a finite game. The Vietnamese were trying to not die and keep going.
Hence Taliban.
Same thing with them. It's like if your goal is to not lose, you'll outlast the guy whose goal is to win.
That's like my favourite meme ever, which was like, world's greatest military power ever, $10 trillion investment, some goat farmers with beards. Guess who wins?
$10,000 missile, or $2 million missile, $10 tent.
Mm-hmm.
The missile won.
And they didn't have tents, they just lived in caves. Oh. Guess who won? The one who didn't give up. That's who won.
Yeah.
So.
Because all the sons went to fight when their dads got killed.
Yeah, they're home, man. They're not giving it up.
Mm.
And I, hot take, kind of support that. Yes, pro-Taliban. Not really, but you get my point.
Pro, you do your thing in your place, I leave you alone, and you leave me alone. Deal?
Yeah, I remember seeing an interview where some chick, literally, went to interview some Taliban leaders and asked them, like, now that you've liberated your country, are you going to allow women the right to possibly lead the country or vote? And she points the microphone at them, and the guys just laugh at her. Like, who the you know who we are. What are you doing? You stupid bitch.
Just because we won doesn't mean we converted to your religion.
No, it's like
that's kind of the opposite. Like,
they know what they're doing. That's their thing. They're gonna do their thing.
Yeah.
Right? You just like stop trying to push your progressive shit on them. All power to them, as far as I'm concerned. I'm not a big fan of the genital mutilation thing, but that's beside the point. Anyway,
why I don't get drunk?
You had to do that, you bastard. I can't believe I put my tie back on for this shit.
You said you liked it.
I thought it was funny. Yes, I am in full suit and he's in sweatpants.
Well, I did joke about going full suit on the top half.
We could
and stubbies on the bottom.
We could both be in full suits that we were wearing earlier today, and that would be very entertaining because none of you would ever see it. But I am in a full suit. Yes, I want to do the substances conversation first before we get into the conspiracy theory side of things, which is where this is going to end up going. This actually hurts my throat. I'm going to take my tie off. Get loose.
Well, I don't have simple answers for substance-related questions. I'm
not expecting simple answers.
Yeah, you're going to have to dig for it because I don't know where to dig.
Fair enough. Okay, where were we before? We were talking about... I was asking you why you don't do it, and you had a thing. What was your explanation?
I don't want my mind affected.
Yes, that's it. You had a thing about altered states. Which
if I get an altered state, I want to get it myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yourself?
Basically, by meditation and practice, rather than take a pill, or a herb, or a drink, or something.
Does that make you feel superior?
That makes me feel like I'm in control of the process.
You think that if you get yourself into a state like that through meditation, then you'll be in control and could stop it whenever you like? Referencing psychedelics, FYI.
I think that to get to that point, you need to get to 100% of that, you first have to, you previously walked to 90% of it, and before that you walked, metaphorically speaking, to 80%, and so you've worked your way up to it.
Is it a goal of yours to get there? Because if not, that's not...
It's on the list, it's not at the top of the list, but it's like, yes, it would be good to achieve. Developing clairvoyance is higher on the list.
Okay.
Since we're in the conspiracy theory.
So there's not an aversion to altered states of consciousness, per se?
I'm aware of those who got messed up badly for the rest of their lives by being pulled further than they were able to handle.
I referenced in general.
In general, altered states...
If you could induce it through meditation, like you're saying, you don't have an aversion to that?
I don't have an aversion to that because I perceive it as more controllable, and in order to get to this point where you could induce it through meditation, there would be skills developed along the way that would lead to a degree of at least understanding of the process.
Okay. You understand the rarity of such thing?
Yes. And it's not high enough on my priority list that I'm likely to put in sufficient effort to get there to said altered states, but the danger of unearned wisdom concept that we've discussed previously comes to mind as well. If I'm not ready for it, then frankly I'm dealing with other stuff.
Somewhat seems like a cop-out to me. Hence the conversation we had before about sugar.
Mm-hmm.
You consume things on a daily basis that alter your state of consciousness. They just alter it.
I'm still thinking about that. Well, they're within bounds where I can still function as an everyday human being without noticing the differences, and possibly until I've experimented with cutting sugar and carbohydrates out. But
you don't have tea?
I have tea sometimes.
Okay, there's caffeine in tea.
Small doses.
No, it's only half.
Only half coffee?
Yeah. 2 cups of tea is 1 coffee.
Why is coffee perceived as having a much stronger effect than tea then?
Yeah, coffee is 100 milligram caffeine. A cup of tea is only 50. There's caffeine in tea.
Yes. My perception is that...
I don't know why, but I looked it up recently. Wife pregnant.
Yeah.
But yeah, 100% is only half the strength.
Yeah.
So you're still being caffeinated through tea.
It's not the... Well, I'm familiar with tea, and I'm familiar with the fact that while they do have effects, like there's soothing teas and teas that'll help you with a bug and so on.
I'm referencing black tea.
Yeah, black tea, bitter, tastes a bit bad, hard to drink. But the effects are milder, is my impression. Milder than coffee.
Well, yeah, it's half the caffeine.
Mm.
But my point is, it's not nothing and it's not minuscule. It's only half a dose. So you went to a coffee and said, I want a single shot coffee.
Mm.
That's the same as a cup of tea. Most coffees are just double shot.
That's not as much difference between normal coffee and tea as I thought. I think there's an element of not wanting to be trapped by being addicted to things. Like I fear that I have an addictive personality and I don't want to risk trying things that might get hooked on.
Okay, that seems interesting. The idea that you have an addictive personality seems surprising to me.
Considering I don't drink or do drugs.
Yeah, there's all that, yes, but that's from
not trying.
From never having engaged in it. But the spending thing. Eating. You're not addicted to either of those.
True.
And I can tell you from someone who has an addictive personality from child abuse, yes, those things are 100% addictions. Eating, spending, recreational activities of all kinds, regardless of. Okay, here's another thing. Altered state of consciousness being a problem for you. Doom scrolling on YouTube. Is that a problem for you?
Doom scrolling on Reddit.
Okay.
So, same thing, yeah.
Okay, that's altering your brain chemistry.
Yeah, the point that we can't escape alterations to our brain chemistry from the environment is definitely true. I think I mentally categorize chemically induced changes differently to environment induced changes.
Okay, caffeine and sugar. Why? I'm wondering, why is the line where it is for you?
There's possibly an element of people don't do stupid things from having, well, tea, definitely. Coffee, yeah, people get a bit wired off it, and I've seen uni friends who have had too many energy drinks and had stories about shaking on the way home, and...
Oh yeah, that's real.
Yeah, it's like that's like, okay, you did stupid things in relation to a chemical. And the alcohol definitely triggers that. Not in every single situation, but it's definitely something that alcohol can do. And the more psychoactive chemicals seem further out along similar scales.
Okay.
Of course, like you smoke weed, you sort of zone out and say "man" a lot as the mental image.
Oh, I'm not even gonna buy that. Okay.
Yeah, it's like that's not violent, but it's
the potential for consciousness expanding isn't tempting. Consciousness expansion. No experience.
there's a perceived potential for consciousness tearing, like expanding too fast.
Okay.
Losing
But it's
the
not a temptation to, hey, if I could take this thing, my consciousness would expand. And I would experience things that are beyond my realm of
that feels too
possibility while
easy.
sober.
That feels too good to be true.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
there's a
Why?
feeling like for it to be the real stuff takes work. And if it doesn't take work, it's like, is that what?
Okay.
Where's the catch?
The real stuff. Where's this culture coming from? And yes, I use that word on purpose.
Probably is with so many things rooted in childhood.
Okay. Culture, psychedelic. No, sorry. The culture of mystical experiences in humanity as a whole. You think that's like mostly sober or mostly not?
Depends on the tradition heavily. There are some that
Okay.
don't mix well with chemicals. Well, shamanic experiences often use some sort of psychoactive thing within a wider cultural context where that functions and the risks and dangers are known and so on. The traditions of Western esotericism and occultism, which doesn't mean what most people think it does, and the mental training systems within that are evolved over hundreds or even thousands of years, depending on how you trace the threads of them back, to develop the inner capabilities of the mind and soul, don't tend to mix well with drugs. Like alcohol don't do much. Don't start working on it for a while.
Okay, I have a
until
feeling
the
that might
alcohol's
be more
excess.
recent than you think.
The use of training and meditation and practices as opposed to
Christianity was
chemicals.
founded on psychedelics.
Not a theory I'm familiar with.
Pretty confident on that fact. Judaism too.
In the sense of
Ooh,
what
do I
the
have the mice in my
significance.
ceiling? Fuck you.
That was a fly.
Nah, that was not.
Okay.
Awesome. No, yeah, pretty confident on that. So were all the Greeks, by the way.
Hmm.
The Greek philosophers and the inventors of democracy and all that. Yep, psychedelics mixed with wine. Most of the Hindu tradition, most of the Buddhist tradition, Taoist tradition, all of that. I'm hard pressed to think of a single religious tradition which doesn't involve the consumption of psychedelics.
Hmm.
If you could name one, I'm all for it. Perhaps your occultism thing. I don't know too much about that. But if it's any form of offshoot from the Christian church from way back in the way,
What
I doubt it.
I've heard about Western occultism is that form of spiritual training doesn't mix well with drugs.
Okay.
Although in saying
When
that,
was it developed, the philosophy?
Traces its way back to ancient Egypt.
Okay, so prior Christianity.
Yeah. Like if Hermeticism is one of the groups
Jesus
of it.
Christ. Egypt too.
Mind-altering drugs.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. The Emerald Tablet of Hermes is one of the sort of root documents that traces its way all the way back. But the guy whose writings have been my gateway drug, for want of a better term, into Western occultism, as little as I have dived into its depths. That might need to wait till my son's a bit more grown up and I can focus effort elsewhere, but life, I'll see. He acknowledges having dabbled a bit in, was it psychedelics or weed? Something along those lines when he was younger.
Weed is psychoactive, just not to the same degree.
Hmm.
Although you can 100% have mystical experiences through it, which I have.
There's a feeling like both it's a crutch and a contaminant to it. It's like, I want to see it with my eyes, not chemically obscured ones. Although
enhanced. As someone who has had active experimentation with these things, obscured is not the word.
There was a description.
You are carried through every experience. Your consciousness is 100% present. It feels like a. It feels like a change in camera lens, not camera body. Does that make sense?
I think so.
A shift in perspective. Some things are damped down, other things are amplified.
So you can still
the
think,
you is still
this
you.
is weird. What the hell is that thing?
Yes, the you is still you throughout.
I've heard it described as loosening the girders of the mind so you can see what you otherwise wouldn't see. There's a concern. There's a concern attached to that tightening them up again isn't as simple as loosening them, and that
this is true. Psychedelic experience produces a 1 standard deviation increase in openness.
That's interesting.
Yes, it does. Permanent.
The risk that was associated with that, of course, was that continued use would continue the loosening of the girders of the mind, and you end up with a mind rattling like an old car.
Not too familiar with that.
Probably heavy use.
I think in extreme cases, yes. I think there's also diminishing returns.
Yeah, that makes sense.
For all altering substances. That you can have profound experiences on your first couple tries, but if you're like going back every week, not great.
So it feels like a one-time drawdown type thing.
I have had plenty of experiences with common substances. I haven't gone far into psychedelics. I had one experience once, and it wasn't enough to really do anything. Though I accidentally dosed my mother. Good story. I'll tell you that one. But for alcohol and marijuana, that ganja, okay, I was going to make a hypothetical, but you're literally sitting beside me, so for a person who has never done either, I would 100% encourage you to do so. Once or twice at minimum.
Marijuana or
both.
Or what was the other?
Alcohol.
Yep.
I would encourage you to try it, see what it's like, not for like, oh, this is a thing that I might continue to do on an ongoing basis for fun. I don't think that's good. I don't think the people who drink after work every day or once a week with the boys, same with weed, I don't think any of that's good. But I think the pure experience, because your mental model of consciousness can be altered and different states can be experienced, is just not sufficient to understand. The pure experience of having your consciousness shifted one way or the other, which is, by the way, even the case with alcohol, which is interesting. People don't talk about that. It's hard to explain. You can't understand it unless you've done it.
That's fair.
As someone who has done it, I would highly encourage anyone to do it. Maybe once, twice, thrice on significant occasions. Even then, just a couple times, have the experience with it, not go overboard, be very tame with the experience. To experience the fact that you can shift your consciousness, that there is more outside of your perception, and to have experienced that once and then come back to normal. I would not advise anyone to have it as an integral part of their life for fun.
There's a fear I can't place my finger on associated with it. There's a...
We talked about this before. This is interesting.
I
think the fear is the fear that you enjoy it.
It doesn't feel like that.
Alright.
It feels like the fear of, I don't want to stick my finger in the mousetrap. It bit me before.
It bit you before?
That feeling. I'm thinking of possibly past life stuff.
Are you sure?
Hypothesis. How do I prove
it? Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
I said possibly.
What I sort of meant by that is there's nothing else in your life that you could analogize to that. That feeling of, I've been bitten before. I'm wondering what you're referencing. If there is such a thing that is in this life.
The reference that comes to mind first, others might come to mind after I go through this one, so let's start with this.
Qualifications.
Dad's attitude to it, in general. Well, his personal attitude, not his attitude to other people doing it. Well, alcohol, sort of derisive comments about people being stupid with alcohol, and about how he never liked it and wanted to do the stupid things with the boys getting drunk. He always found that silly, and so
no disagreement.
Adoption.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never go to a pub or a bar or a club. Absolute bad idea. Listen to kids. Kids, a drink's okay. Don't go to a club. It's terrible. Or parties. It's not worth it. Sorry. No fun.
Yeah.
Even when it's fun, it's still not good. Alright? Trust me.
There might be a intermingling of the emotional impression from the misuse of them in those contexts, and the impression of a stoner who's fried his brain from doing it every day for a year.
Which can happen.
Yep. And I don't want to touch that with a 10-foot barge pole.
Okay. I could understand that for, like, meth. 100% agree. Not even once, bro. Alcohol or weed, I don't think is in the same category. In the slightest. It's not a thing that... Okay, it's hard to say this because it's like both sides. Doing it once, yes, will change your life. Worth doing. It's not a thing that's going to have you, like, scratching yourself to get back at it. It's not. Like, sugar's more addictive. Off the bat. A lot more.
And cheese, probably.
Not so much. No.
Cheese can be addictive in its way.
Okay. I've never heard that before.
Maybe that's dependent upon the individual.
Perhaps. You got a thing for cheese? That might be your body telling you you're eating too much bread. Cheese good, bread bad, by the way.
More thinking needed on that. But,
Go with that cough. Is that from your COVID jab?
No, son got a bug and we both got it, and so we've both got a cough that's hanging around far too long. Yeah, Dad's been telling me to go to the doctor about it too.
Yeah, that's still not what I was saying. That's beside the point. I don't remember. Did you get the jab?
Yeah, but well before this cough started.
Poor boy. Sorry. Beside the point. Don't cough on me too close.
If it's jab caused, you can't catch it.
Yeah, maybe. You'd be surprised about some of the theories around that.
Oh, I can imagine there's plenty of theories.
And if it alters your DNA enough, that could be spread. But that's beside the point. Hey, you're patentable, by the way. Huh.
So this is tipsy.
I can't help it. I'll put that aside. No, I want to focus on the one topic. I'm doing it because it's fun.
Yeah, I'm picking up that you're trying to push buttons.
Yeah, I enjoy that.
Yeah.
I'll never say something false to push a button.
True.
Okay. I'm going to keep drilling you on this. Okay, childhood association. I can get that. You have high respect for your father. Or
Yes.
is it fear?
I don't think I feared him. Well...
That's a bigger silence than I was expecting, folks.
Not physically.
Okay. There's a bit of wanting to please. Emotionally distant?
Dad was the less distant one.
Well, that's even more interesting. You didn't say no. You said less than the other.
I always felt like Mum was a bit severe. And Dad wasn't so much.
Okay, but I wasn't saying discipline, I was saying distant.
I wasn't saying discipline either. Just severe in attitude rather than treatment.
It still doesn't line up with distant or not distant, to my mind.
Maybe I'm using the wrong word then, not distant, but... Not as many cuddles as I would have preferred as a kid. Okay.
Needing to please is where I was going with that.
I think there's definitely a thing to needing to please and feeling like I need to live up to stuff.
What he wanted for you. Or what he would have
He
done.
didn't push... Well, okay, no. He wasn't the you have to do this.
Did he withdraw if he did things he didn't like?
A bit, yeah, he'd grump.
Yeah.
Oh, part of me wants to defend.
Yeah, there it is.
What?
Yeah, I don't see even that.
Because
you're the sober one, you should say it.
I do love them.
I'm not saying you don't.
I do feel like they did their best.
I'm not saying that either. You can have it both ways. You can say they were doing the best that they could given the circumstances and they 100% cared for me. But also X thing they did produced Y result in me. Hence the family and the lunch.
So we can have this conversation without...
We'll be more quiet about that one. I'd rather get over her talking about aliens. With an M. Aliens.
Still throwing me off.
Sorry, it's too much fun. I'm still working on it. Alright, we'll get there. Still got half a drink to go. Oh my god.
Yeah. I felt like I needed to live up to the IQ tests in a sense. And I've certainly developed a very intellect-centric personality in the sense of that's the defining feature of me and trying to live up to...
What I don't understand is why you're not interested in exploring with that intellect.
Exploring altered states of consciousness.
Yeah, it's like a whole other horizon of existence that you don't want to touch. I don't want to explore there. That seems rather against the idea of pure rationalist intellectual scientist, which you try to embody.
There's a danger that feels like.
Okay, what danger?
There be dragons.
How do you feel about dragons? What are they there for?
Guarding secrets you're not ready for.
You don't believe that?
The unearned wisdom thing you said previously about people who did have bad trips, I think that describes it well.
I don't actually believe that. The more I think about it, the less I'm on board with that. But that's still not what I asked you. Your subconscious brought up the reference to there be dragons. What do you do with dragons in the rest of your life?
Try and confront them and fight them and beat them.
Can't see it, but I'm making a face.
It's sort of. It's a space of action within which I feel like I'd just be throwing myself in the river and letting go. And that loss of control is terrifying.
What?
It's I'm wondering if it has something to do with bad experiences with teachers.
That's an interesting association. Where did that come from?
I was homeschooled from halfway through year seven. The year seven teacher I had, I'd finished the first school I went to only went to year six, so we went to a different school for year seven, and the teacher was supposedly really good, but she was the sort who'd she didn't understand me at all, and she acknowledged that openly to my parents by the end of it. She was the sort who'd be great for the kid who was disruptive and um, pushy to other teachers and got their way, and so she'd just swear straight back at them. And she had the disagreeable streak to take it and give as good as she got and laugh at it and not care. And she scared me. I had nightmares about her afterwards. Not a huge number, but yeah. Um, the sort of feeling sick to my stomach at the thought of going to school, and stories that like something I hadn't remembered, but that Dad told me that I'd put lots of work into doing a thing, and I'd brought it in, and then she didn't even look at the work that went into it because it was done on paper that had been used for something on the other side. And reusing paper like that, just printing something on the other side and using it again, was a common thing for me at the time. And so I then present her this thing that I put lots of work into and I'm sort of nervously proud of, and then she throws it back and says, "This is rubbish because it's printed on recycled paper."
Okay, this is in a weird direction.
But I'm not sure where it's going either. But I'm wondering if the control sense is to protect myself from that. I want to be the one who is in control of me so that I'm not, and I want to be smart enough to not be in danger of that.
Oh, you want to control your world.
Because it's scary.
You don't want to cede over power or faith to anything higher. Just spiritual praise to gods.
Not to anything that I feel would hurt me. Or not lovingly want the best.
You're just counting yourself a bit too much.
In
You
what
assume
sense?
you assume the you that has had a drink, or the you that has had a smoke is not you. You view that person as different.
Compromised.
No. I don't think that's right. I think the idea that you are the greatest version of you completely sober is not the case.
But I know this version. I don't know that version.
Okay, that's more honest. That is much more honest. I think that's accurate. Fear of the unknown?
I like to approach the unknown having researched it thoroughly first. So I know what can be known and know what cannot be known.
So you have a lack of confidence in yourself to handle a thing that is unknown.
Yeah, whenever I think about handling situations, it's like, okay, how do I prepare for the situation beforehand?
I can't help but thinking about this related to your dating prospects.
Yeah.
Confidence doesn't matter what happens to me, put me anywhere in the world in any situation, I'll handle it.
Yeah, little mental scream.
Exactly the point. I still think it would be very good for you to get outside that mindset. Nothing helps self-reflection like an altered state, I can tell you that much.
The dragons I've been fighting have been the ones that came to my court, that were in the area where I could fight them on my terms in a sense. Like even this, it's like I'm approaching stuff, but it's like this is a controlled environment, so it's safe.
Exactly.
Hmm.
You're fighting toy dragons. Dragons aren't in your house. They're in the land of chaos. You gotta venture to go there. You're not gonna be fighting dragons in a arena with gloves on. It's all well and good to practice all day long, but real dragons, where there be dragons, is off the map.
Hmm.
And you're never going to go out, even in a sober state, you're never going to go out and fight a real dragon without leaving a safe place where you have control. You're not in your castle when you fight the dragon.
Oh, this makes me feel hypocritical about all the talk I've done on this about fighting dragons and making life better and that, and
I am 100% using that against you. Full transparency. Yes, I am. But I'm doing it for a point. Venturing into the unknown.
there's a cost to failure.
There's a cost to success.
The
man who goes into the underworld to fight the dragon, to rescue his father, all of that, comes up scarred. You don't get to gain the knowledge from exploration without gaining scars too. You don't come out flawless. That's not how it works. You get cut and bruised and scarred, but you come back stronger and with something of value. Horus and Osiris. He loses his eye.
just trying to pin down where the existential terror is coming from. Because there's an I don't want to look here, don't look here type thing going on in my head.
Some of the most important revelations. See, I told you I can hear it.
Yeah, the thing against the light shade, it's a fly.
Are you okay? I really don't want rats in my ceiling. I love Ratatouille. The bonds between the different parts of your mind are 100% loosened with different substances.
Hmm.
That is the case. You will 100% have more contact with your subconscious.
For some reason, that elicits more terror. Not in an uncontrollable sense, but the perception of, that's worse.
No. No, it's not. It is important. It is very important.
I'm just wondering what's hiding or being hidden from.
Okay. How about let's take a break from it and you think about that. I'm assuming this button pauses.
Yes.
Or you don't. We're back. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm sure you don't like it. That's fine. Not the point. Right, where were we? Where were we?
There be dragons.
There be dragons. Yeah.
Fear of failure. It's like there's
Failure. That's no.
The drinking leads to a loss of control, leads to a risk of failure, which means death.
Okay, failure.
I just get one of the bits that came up that like didn't make sense, and it feels like it's something else trying to come out, but like she'll eat me.
She.
Hmm.
Okay.
Which could be the teacher I talked about, the Year 7 one, but frankly would fit the bill. Reinforced in adult life by a previous boss with anger management issues. But
I feel like a good healthy dose of your ex is thrown in there somewhere.
probably, though she was nuts. It was more stepping on a toe there than failing at a task. Standing on an eggshell / landmine.
But you have to always be in control of yourself, otherwise things would go badly. You weren't allowed to be loose or impulsive. Or she'll eat you.
Reinforcing, but not the origin.
That makes sense.
Like
Probably
referring to
target.
yeah, referring to mum and dad's house as home, which up to then was a natural thing done without thinking, triggered several multi-hour shouting fights, which as someone who's toward the agreeable, sensitive end of personality is hard. If you did not have your disagreeableness in a friendly, I'm going to disagree with you and enjoy it, but it's because I want to help you manner, this would not work.
That is 100% what I am. Yeah.
Yes, and it's because I can tell that this works at all, because, yeah. Oh, but it's like the knowledge. No, that's a byproduct of it. That I can do better, sort of thing. That like the sense of I know I'm smart, I know I should be able to do things. To not be able to do it is a failure. And
You think having a drink is a failure?
I think it opens the risk. But what the failure is, it's like I imagined
in your father's eyes. Oh, you're just a drunk then.
No.
A failure degree if you drink. You never succeed.
No, the degree. No, he always said engineering was a good choice for a job, and he came back to that. And like, I always had a thing about wanting to set up a permaculture farm and have basically a save the world complex, recognizing that I can't save the whole world, so I just wanted to save a little bit of it.
How much of that is things that he agrees with?
He always thought it was a bit unrealistic. And he phrased it as got to earn the money to buy the farm. Like he was fine with doing the thing, but the practicality of you got to get the money first.
It is a bit utopian. I will agree with him on that.
Child, yeah, it was my childhood thing.
But you're not a child anymore.
Yeah, and now my goals have been sort of reset to the household instead of a community.
Better. Still off topic.
But like in terms of failure, it's like go out tramping, get stuck because stupid, die. Try and do a thing and something you don't expect kills you, basically.
Okay, is living a long time the goal of your
Not dying
existence here?
stupidly. Like, dying to cancer is like, if I got cancer, there'd be a toss up as, well, because I have my son who needs me, go through the treatment and so on for that.
Okay.
If it was just me, toss up as to whether I'd bother with the treatment.
You're a spiritual person.
Mm.
You past life belief?
It seems the most rational explanation to me, which sounds like a really weird way to put it. But yeah,
that's right. We don't need to add qualifications.
I don't have memories of past lives, but it makes the most sense.
Past life, future life, spirit outside the body kind of thing. Right.
Yeah.
Why are you here?
To learn the lessons that this life has to teach. To screw up and learn from it.
You kind of just answered yourself, didn't you? Playing it safe so that you can have maximum number of years.
It's not the maximum number of years. It's not the loss of years that's the problem. There's an element of shame of screwing up too.
In whose eyes?
Mum mainly.
Okay, well, that's progress.
I think.
Define screwing up. If you got issues with your mother, I wouldn't be too surprised about your relationship troubles.
Oh, laughing about that's easier than keeping digging into this.
I can say 100% that I have issues with my mother, and that is 100% why I was targeted by my wife when she was still psychopathic. 100%.
There is a lot of similarity between my ex and my mum. Studying languages at uni, just the start.
That's like, it's not even really, that's insignificant, and you know it.
Yeah.
But the fact you make that association.
Well, that's the bit that stands out as a easily drawable association.
Yeah, it's always. Your subconscious will associate looks, things that are noticeable, but it's always the actions that's the real deal. Or generally opposite. Fear of abandonment is a great target for someone to be manipulated. Which was me, by the way.
I'm just wondering
My mother did not come today.
I was the best man. Thank you.
Hey, you showed up. Last time I got married, my best man and I got in a fight the night before, and I told him not to come. I had a 47-year-old woman as my best man at my wedding. She's great, lovely lady.
You're nuts.
Gotta love Alison. She used to sell haggis out of a cart. This'll do me.
Oh, why do we get on so well? I feel like
I'm great.
We're balanced. I feel like we balance a seesaw of different types of nuts.
Maybe.
Peanuts and pistachios, something.
I am going to continue to push you.
Yes, and I'm not.
That drink is sitting in front of you for a reason. Let's go! Sorry.
Part of me just wants to be stubborn about that, but.
Why? Exercise your will over the world?
Yeah, that sums that bit up nicely. The just to be stubborn, but I was exploring the idea of Mum grew up Dutch in New Zealand, but both her parents were in the Netherlands during the Second World War, and her whole family's reasonably academic. I don't know if her brother. I'm guessing her brother did study of some kind, but he's a dairy farmer. Her sisters all went to uni. Youngest, I'm not so sure. She ran off with a bike. Yeah, big beard and tattoos. Nice guy.
Sure.
Well, he's always been friendly to me.
All right.
I'm sure he can be not nice, but he's always been friendly.
That's why he got the girl.
Yeah. And so, yeah, there was that academic performance, and looking around the cousins of my generation, it's like, it's interesting that the first things that come up are like uni, functional marriage. Because the failure of my attempt at a marriage feel like that's the only one in the extended family of a dozen cousins, not counting them up, but that feels like about the right number.
Okay, seeing as you brought up the topic, do you think that apologies? Do you think that your how do I say this? Non-partaking of substances is helping or hurting you in your dating life? When you say to a woman, "I do not do these things," do you think that that makes her like more or less excited about you?
I have to go in the hypothetical because I haven't actually put myself out there enough as such to gather much data on that.
How many years ago did you guys get divorced?
Uh, 20. Oh, separate 2020. Divorce 2022. Last year, February.
Okay, separate. 3 years.
Yeah. I tried speed dating once. That nothing came of that.
I could give you some tips to make that work better.
Yeah.
Be very
if there were more of them.
Was it not? I've never done it.
There aren't many.
I suppose.
A bar did one, and that was just their thing. But I look it up, and it's all events from several years ago.
Very, very pity you having to deal with the world of dating now that dating apps are a thing. Do not use them. That's my advice.
There's a mental self headbutting a wall in frustration.
It is, I know.
Not just about that.
Unlimitedly difficult. Look, you could go and get laid every night of the week if you wanted to. Not helpful to finding a wife.
There's certainly a part of me that would really want that.
Yeah, don't. I know. I get
I'm just acknowledging that the part exists.
That part.
The rest of me is like, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
Wanting to say go away, but having to say go back to your corner.
Yeah, that's not helpful. Please don't. Anyone who's out there who's listening and is alone, and particularly if you've never been with a woman ever, don't fucking do it. Marry her. Don't.
I have a friend who...
Don't touch the hose, my bro.
Who
not helpful.
I found last time we had a chat, had gone down that road, found the soul destructionness of it. Yeah. He's since joined an Orthodox Christian church and trying to
pendulums be swinging,
trying to put his life together, and had a great deal of success in putting his life together. And it seems like God was on his case of, come on, acknowledge me, come on, and then he did, and then stuff turned around.
He learned his lesson.
Yes, he did.
But he had to hit bottom first. Yes. I'd advise you, if you could avoid hitting bottom, that'd be great. Don't do that. You're already tarnished enough with like one previous one that failed. You don't need like another 10 on that list. Not helpful.
10 failed first dates, I think, wouldn't be a bad thing.
Even if they were successful and you took them home. Still not helpful. 10 bonds that you created and then broke.
Yeah, that's a different thing.
That's what I mean.
10 attempts that failed and then learning from them. Because, like...
even if it was...
Yeah. I want long term.
I want to make that clear. Even if your intent was only to sleep with a woman for one night and then leave her, it still damages you. You don't get that for free. Sorry. And it damages her beyond belief. And, you know, you're pretty able to do that. If you're a person out there who has figured out how to game it, which is pretty easy, to sleep with the women as much as you like, you are doing nothing but damaging those women, and I consider you evil for doing so. Have shame.
Oh, yes, the disagreeable.
We brought it up, and, you know, I'm also having a drink, which is one of the great bonuses of drinks.
So your filters have reduced even lower than normal.
Yeah. It's inhibitions.
Yes.
Removing inhibitions. Could be good. This doesn't... Okay, kind of peer pressure, but not also. I'm trying not to do that. I'm trying to literally convince you on the spot.
I suspect that peer pressure would cause a backlash reaction.
Yeah, this isn't like do it, you faggot. That's not what this is. This
yeah,
is,
yeah. You backlash.
You have a whole bunch of things in your head that are saying no, don't do it, and I'm arguing with them because I think they're wrong.
Mm.
I'll come back to before. I do not think that anyone should drink on any form of regular basis.
So what would you... Obviously, tonight's just after your wedding vow renewal. Seems like a reasonable occasion. And...
It was a non-0% calculation to have that in front of you.
In terms of assumed or worked out probability it would get drunk.
I don't actually have odds on that. I haven't thought about it too much.
Mm.
But I thought this
non-zero.
I thought this...
I think I'd be more open to...
Having this conversation was part of it. Also, I wanted it for personal celebration. Yeah, this is a day that I'll never have again in my life. So, celebrate.
Yeah, I think I'd be more open to red wine that's got less negative associations with it. Beer has the partying drunks association.
This is not that.
Yeah, I know. I'm well aware of that. Yeah, where red wine has positives from like it improves life expectancy studies and such, and
okay.
So that's counteracting things in research and controlling.
Said that, but you would have to drink something like 48,000 litres of wine to have it actually have an effect. So, no, not really. Unless you are subscribing to the homeopathic style of belief in which a thing can be diluted to the point where it is non-existent, but still...
I thought you were talking about the effect of getting drunk, and that didn't make sense.
No.
I was talking
longevity
about
effects. Red wine is functionally not helpful.
In the sense of expected effect due to concentration of compounds, I was thinking of the studies showing that when other factors are controlled for, there is a measurable effect of increasing health.
It's pretty minor.
Yeah.
If you want actual longevity, you take the resveratrol drug out of it and you amp it up ridiculous amounts, and then you take that as a tablet that has no alcoholic effect. Which is what people do. It's a diabetes medication, I think. Resveratrol makes you live. That's a topic for another day. I have my concerns about the longevity thing.
Yeah, it's like the living longer is not the goal. That it's just
for another day.
It's in the context of this, in my mind, it's just a reduction of the badness.
Sure, it's not an excuse.
Level. Excuse for what? Or not to?
There's an opportunity.
Perceived as not as bad.
I know, but you made a reference to that as, if I was going to do it, I wouldn't do the thing in front of me. I'd do this other thing.
Oh, in that sense.
Which is convenient because we don't have it here.
Yeah. And I really don't like Coke that doesn't have alcohol in it.
Oh.
I feel like that's a reasonable one.
No. It's not a point about what you like. That's not the point of discussion. You don't do these things because you like it. You shouldn't be taking mind-altering substances because you like it. You should be taking it because you get a value through exploring the altered state. I don't think you get to call yourself a curious and exploratory person looking for new ideas and then be like, oh, this entire part of existence, yeah, I'm just not going to touch that. For someone who is like all about, there are other altered states of the mind, higher and lower planes, and then you hear that, hey, I can have a substance that grants me greater access to that plane, being like, no, I'm good. It seems a bit contradictory. You could take a thing and go straight to that plane and meet the people there and interact with them. You could take lesser, ridiculous versions and have a glimpse through that plane. Or you could take something even lesser that sort of has you reflect upon yourself and your position in the world. And all of which you're like, no, I don't want to explore it because I'm scared.
I think it still comes back to the fear of failure through losing control.
Yes, do it. Okay, I get the emotion.
Mm. But the
I don't get
why.
the logic there. Like, where's that coming from? Obviously, I'm not going to say your emotion's wrong because that's not how that works.
There can be logical inconsistencies underlying it, but the emotion itself is still.
Okay, emotion's wrong. It's probably not the right word.
Hmm.
The emotion is likely brought up because of some previous past event that needs to be worked on. Because emotion is a trigger by that thing, not something that should necessarily be applicable to the situation. I think that makes sense. Still sourced. I'm trying to slurp this, but it's not working. Sorry, can't do folio work.
I'm trying to trace the fear of failure back.
The association with altered states makes me think it's something to do with your teenage years.
No, way before that.
Okay, why would it be associated?
Primary school.
Why would it be associated with altered states then? I do X thing, I might fail. Oh, that's concerning. If you think it's before the possibility of altered states being part of the problem.
Adolescence was like year 7.
Yeah, okay.
And I was homeschooled then. It's like then the pressure came off.
If you think it's before then, then my brain jumped to the association of if I do X thing that I might enjoy, I might fail at Y thing that I'm supposed to do. And you've already made association with your parents. That would concern me somewhat because you don't do a lot of things in your life that are purely for recreation. And if that's something to do with this, I have a concern that you have I don't want to use the word trauma, but you get the idea. A thing in your past that makes you think, if I do thing that I enjoy, I might fail at task I should do. Which would be not great.
I'm wondering if it's associated with homework.
Versus
whatever else I wanted to do.
Mm.
As in, need to do the homework.
Okay, can you remember a thing that you used to want to do when you were a child? When you were homeschooled, what did you do for entertainment?
Lego and books. I was never a gamer. The only games were things like The Incredible Machine on an old 95 computer.
Yeah, because you didn't have access to it. Your parents didn't give you access to it.
My brother got access to. He got into it more, and he ended up getting it because he pushed for it. And if he pushed for something and got permission to get it, I could usually get it if I wanted it to, because fairness. But he got it, and I was never really interested. So it's not that I didn't. It's not that I couldn't get games. It's that I never. Well, no. This is the root is before that.
Okay.
Because the rejection of alcohol and the rejection of games feel linked in the same sort of.
I would 100% agree that there's an association there.
It's the. Well, here's a useless thing you can do.
Useless.
Hmm.
I would disagree with you on that, even when it comes to video games. Oh, I can tell you for sure that it has developed my brain and problem-solving abilities. 100% I can tell you that.
The only one ever got into it all, and even that to only limited extent, was Kerbal Space Program, because the physics was interesting, the accuracy of it.
It is a cool thing, but it's also more recent, and while you're an adult, not the same as
very true.
Completely no internet, air gap system when you're a child. That there is a problem you can't solve. and no one to help you with.
Mm.
You want to keep playing? Figure it out. When we were growing up, at least for me, if you wanted to play a game, you either had to be good at it or you had to figure out the puzzle. There wasn't easy games, and there wasn't beat the other person games.
Mm.
It was single player. You had to be good enough at driving it to beat the other people, or you had to be able to figure out how to get through a maze or a puzzle in order to advance to the next boss or stage or whatever.
There was one with a submarine that you go around, and every now and again a math problem pops up, I think. But
yeah, no, I didn't actually do the legit. Like, I'm talking legit video games were even still that way.
Hmm. Yeah, the
seems somewhat beside the point. We were
by wasting time with the useless thing, you fail at the thing you need to do.
This is true, and I understand that.
I'm just trying to state it and work out and find the trigger.
Oh no, I'm not objecting to it. Like, I get it. That's what you're working at. My job here is to sort of argue with that part of your brain.
Yep.
Is your enjoyment useless?
Impulsive answer, yes.
It seems like a pretty sad life. That was more scary than I wanted it to be. Jesus Christ, dude, are you okay?
Okay, I feel like there's some deep stuff that I
didn't expect it to get to this point. We were going to talk about aliens, something deep, but I think this is more important.
Yeah.
We can still get there. We always got tomorrow. Although you need to drive, so.
Yeah,
This is 100% here today.
I don't often perceive the intensity of my emotions very well, so I suspect there's a bit more happening that I'm picking up on, and it's often more apparent to those around.
Okay. Explanation aside, what was that laugh?
That's a sad life.
Yeah. What was the laugh?
Yes.
Right, mate?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure anymore.
Oh, okay. That was... I'm not giving you a hug. We're actually in person this time. No. I'd make a very spicy comment about gays, but I'm not trying to be hilarious now because I'm actually concerned. Actually, I'll put that drink aside until you open yours. Okay. Interesting. This makes me think about when we talked about finances and security. Are you successful enough to enjoy yourself in any way?
There's not a threshold for that.
That seems rather unhealthy. I don't mean to pile too many things on you at once, but that also doesn't seem particularly attractive.
We'll deal with that later.
Still seems important. But as
I'm looking for the root, not the branch.
All right.
Yeah.
As a knock-on effect.
But
Right.
Yeah, the branch exists. Yes, deal with it later.
Seems like a bad set of logic. It's actually making me consider that I need to take that into account when homeschooling my children. Environment space. If your entertainment is in the same space as your education and your parents say, if you go and play the entertainment thing, you're going to fail at life.
No, it was before then. So when I started homeschooling, from what I heard later as an adult, it took, was it 2 years for me to not have a strong adverse reaction to the suggestion of sitting down and learning something.
Okay.
And once that faded out, then I would just pick things up and learn about them. I'd get, how does this work? And look it up on the computer or get books out of the library and be all curious. And then eventually it was, the age for you to go to uni is coming up. How are you going to do this? Well, you could get correspondence school, so I did a horticulture course through the correspondence school, and then did a few more to get credits that would be useful for uni, and then that went really well. And one of the things that Dad told me about it was that he talked to the teachers to get them to send more books because I would get into doing it and then I'd finish the book and then I'd sort of go out of the zone. But and the teachers were worried about the fact of there being a stack of books there being daunting, but I'd get into it and then I'd work on physics for a day or work on chemistry for a day and just plod my way through it. So the route is pre that. The route is primary school age somewhere.
Okay, let's talk about that then.
So back trying to find the trail again.
Is that why you said homework before? That's what you were referencing.
Primary school age, yeah.
You had homework at primary school?
I think so.
You wouldn't have had that while you were at homeschool.
No.
So that's where that came from.
Yeah.
That up, not me.
Well, that was. Yeah. Homework itself, I don't have a strong memory of it.
Which is interesting because you mentioned it.
Hmm.
Like that association came out of your head from somewhere.
Hmm.
I don't want to hit the drum too hard, but I don't know, that just seems interesting.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It might be a side association. I'm not sure. Because I don't get a strong image associated with it. It's like
Okay.
it might have been more an illustrative association than a direct one. Yeah, I
want to pause for a minute.
Mm.
And I want to ask you, given all that we've discussed, do you think that your stance on, I want to say this topic, but it ended up being way more broad and deep than I thought. I'd say.
Don't they always?
You questioning it?
I'm not objecting to it.
You're
referring to alcohol.
Are you less sure about your position on, I want to say this thing, but God, it went so broad so fast.
Referring to alcohol on its own, it's like
there's the example.
That's a branch, not the root. I'm dealing with the root. If changing the root changes the branch, then okay, but I'm not interested in attacking the branch.
Yeah, but you can touch the branch now. It's hard to reach the roots. You have to dig up everything.
That's preferable. It's a dragon in the space I can control.
Yeah. No, because you're above ground. That's the space you can control. It's all well and good to want to go to the root of your psychological problems, but you still have to deal with the outgrowths of them. And the outgrowths of them are the things you can actually affect right now.
A mental comment about efficiency and it being more efficient to just dig down.
I don't agree with that.
Efficiency in psychological work seems misplaced.
Yeah. No, I don't agree with that. You will get much greater results from solving the problem down in the roots. Agreed. It's also a shit ton of work and will take you a lot of time. Whereas you can touch one branch and make a bend in it as it grows. Right now for no
I don't know which
time.
direction to bend it. I don't know.
Okay. You don't know. No. Good point. Fair enough.
Yeah.
My point being the same as that.
It's a certainty thing, but
you can do an act. Okay. Let me see if I can analogize what you have said to a different scenario. I have a problem with anger with my children. For note for camera, I am well under control of this. It's not something that affects them in a negative way. But it's a thing in me. If I were to apply what you've just said to that, I'm not going to bother worrying about the outcomes of the problem, the branches. I'm going to go straight down to the roots and try and solve the problem. Branches can be done later. It's inefficient. Which means, if I was to do that, that the consequences of the problem deep down can just play out. And I'll just let them play out until I fix the problem.
Though in that case, the consequence of the problem would be a negative, where in this case it's avoiding a fear of negative.
I don't think that your situation is positive. I'm going to say that pretty clear. You're making association like where I'm standing is good. I don't think so.
Where I'm not standing is unknown.
Okay. Where is the proper place for a human being?
I know the answer you're getting at. It's on the edge of order and chaos.
Exactly.
One foot on each.
Either.
Yeah.
It's not completely inside order and being safe and comfortable. I still think it's hilarious that you are pretty out there and intellectual, and I'm sitting here going, hey, expand your mind. And you're like, no. Which is funny. And yeah, I know alcohol is, it's a pretty shitty drug. I'm not a big fan of it. But there is certainly some mind expansion advantages to it. Once is better than nonce. And maybe better than twice. I shouldn't have Rick and Morty quotes going through my head. That's not helpful. Be a downfall, not being open to new experiences. I think I mentioned that to you before. Oh, he's referencing death.
Oh.
I have never died. Now that'll be your downfall. Not being open to new experiences. Yes, silly.
Yeah, I'll experience that eventually. I don't need to hurry.
We all will.
Yeah.
You've told me that you already believe you have.
Well, like I said, it seems most reasonable.
Probably. We had an interesting conversation with not good for recording, but beside the point. Workmates over the way. We had a real interesting conversation with them. They're all about that.
Yeah, you gotta broach that. I'll be interested to hear.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're probably not going to, because we'll go and milk cows at the shed tomorrow.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I'm still going to throw you in the deep end and cup some cows. Moo! It'll be entertaining. And be good for you. New experiences.
In an environment that I'm confident is safe.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
There's big bars, like, protecting you. You're fine.
Yeah, I'm confident in modern health and safety regulations and...
Speaking of safe... You're not in a pub. You're not going to be face down somewhere. You've got a standard drink in front of you that can be limited entirely to one upon your choice. Could be better than laboratory conditions. Even laboratory recording.
That's an interesting concept.
You take your blood pressure before and after if you want. We have St. John sitting out in the lounge.
No. The concept of...
That's New Zealand Ambulance Service, by the way, for international people.
The concept of I'm scared of what it'll release.
Ooh.
It's just encouraging you.
That sounds entirely what is needed. I mean, haven't we been talking this entire conversation series about you might need to be a little bit more in touch with your subconscious? Maybe like a little bit too is shut down there. Which coming from me is kind of... Oh, if I'm saying that... Bro. I don't want to have any more of this. I'm waiting for you to...
What is alcohol content and what does it mean?
That's 1.3 standard units. What does it mean?
Yes, because numbers mean one thing, whereas effects mean another.
A standard unit is a standard unit of alcohol that your liver can process over the course of 1 hour.
So does that mean the drunkenness is gone after an hour?
If you have...
With a tail-off period.
Okay. This is 1.3 standard units. Say I am average height and body weight for a person. I am not. Ha. If I was to have 2 of those in an hour, it'd be sourced. And it would take me a couple hours to recover.
Mm-hmm.
The more you have in the shorter period of time, the harder it is for your body to process it.
Mm-hmm.
And the longer it takes for it to be processed out.
Mm-hmm.
You can overwhelm your system and your liver can shut down, which is what happens when people get blackout.
Mm-hmm.
You need a substantial amount more than this.
Yeah, that's like a jug of vodka type thing.
Yeah,
Although that's also death.
You'd need more than I would give you.
Hmm.
Not a risk for you today.
What's the hangover thresholds? Or later ill effect thresholds?
For 1 or perhaps 2 of those drinks, effectively nothing. Depends on what you do afterwards. You've eaten today, you're well hydrated.
I was thinking I'd like a water bottle beside it.
After. You've eaten, you're well hydrated, hangover effect is borderline nothing. If afterwards you've had your experience and like, oh, I see what it's like to be in this state, okay, I want to get back to normal now, go and eat something. Have a big glass of water, sleep, you wake up fine. It's pretty standard. There's lots of things you can do to reduce the risk. That's not right. Reduce the hangover effect. And you're not going to be hungover from 3 standard drinks over the course of an hour or 2. Which would be the case if you had, say, 2 of those back to back. I would not let you have more than 2. You could easily...
I would start with sips.
Okay.
And probably take more than an hour to drink it.
If I didn't care about you, you could have 4 and not really have a problem. You'd have a bit of a hangover, but you wouldn't have a problem, you wouldn't be sourced. You could have 2 of those back to back, sculling them, you'd still be fine. You'd feel the effects, you'd be okay after a few hours, you'd eat something, you'd go to sleep, you'd wake up okay, you could drive home. No troubles. I'm not going to actually put you in a risky scenario.
What is the blood alcohol like the day afterwards? Because I do have to drive tomorrow and this is...
You'd be fine. 100% fine. Obviously, I wouldn't let you drive tonight. But even like 3 hours later, you'd be right. For 1 drink. Particularly because your liver's never actually processed that out before. That shit's going to work real well. I have a harder time processing it out because my liver is damaged. Because I was drinking a lot when I was young.
Is that cumulative or is it excessive workload damage?
Yes, it's excessive. Yeah. If you are smart about it, you will not damage your body at all.
Like 1 drink a month, 0 damage.
Yeah, that's 0 damage. You could have a lot more than that and still have 0 damage. You could have several in a night and still have 0 damage.
Yeah, but I'm thinking, say, 1 drink a night indefinitely, still effectively 0 damage.
Depends on how fast you drink it.
No, sorry, not night, but 1...
Oh, no, even that, a drink a night, if you drank it slowly enough, yeah, 0 damage over the course of your lifetime.
So the rate of ingestion...
Yes.
And the height of the spike.
Hence the unit. The 1 unit is meant to be 1 per hour for filtration. So... having 1 glass of red wine over the course of several hours while eating dinner every night, you get the longevity effects in quotation marks, and you're not going to be affected by it. Which is why kids in other countries do that stuff. But obviously the point of this is that you experience some form of altered state, so doing it so slow you get no effect is sort of pointless.
I would have put the point more at crossing a line.
Crossing a line now so you can cross it more later seems also against the point. Isn't the point, like, if we were going to do this, wouldn't be the point be to cross the line, experience a thing, go, oh, that's a thing, and then not do it again, from your point of view? I feel like that would be the best case argument. Perhaps we're thinking about it differently.
More in the sense of what is it? Resistance or voluntary exposure to that which is scary, which is an interesting thing to say about a bottle.
It is. When's the next time you might have a situation like this?
I can't.
That you could feel somewhat that reasonably sense. Comfortable to do such an experiment. Like,
I'm not comfortable.
Well, okay, that's also the point. But as comfortable as
yeah, I doubt my well-being is in danger.
Okay.
My comfort level, however, that went out the window a while ago.
Okay, yeah, that is the point. Bad language on my part. Apologies. I don't see the point in you having like 3 sips and being like, oh, this tastes weird.
That's as far as I've gotten previously.
Right. If you were going to do it, the point would be to have the effect. So that you can go, oh, this is the effect of an altered state of consciousness. For those listening, yes, I know it's super mild. It's only 1 drink of alcohol, which is kind of hilarious. I'm not holding a bong in front of him. Sorry. Mental picture of that. Maybe one day, when it's legal. I'm still mad that it's not by 1%. Fuck you, New Zealand. But there is actually an effect. It's something that you'll only notice if you look for it. Most people who drink aren't aware of it. But I think it's something that you notice if you're more of a person who's inclined to altered states. Someone who has smoked weed before is probably understands what I'm talking about. From a more extreme version of it, it's easier to see the simple one. There is 100% an altered state effect from altered state effect. Yes, there are all altered states. A somewhat consciousness shifting / expanding effect from alcohol. Which is probably why psychedelics were mixed with alcohol once upon a time. And why the combination of alcohol and marijuana makes it more potent. Which is true, and a great time.
Interesting psychological reaction happening at the moment.
Do tell.
Feels like it's an aspect of the fight or flight response.
What is
in the sense of a threat sense of something dangerous. I'm just noticing myself focusing more intently on whatever I'm looking at and
what's unknown, right? Unknown produces that reaction, doesn't it? Here is a big portal. This is a portal object that will change things in a way that I don't know how it'll change. There'll be association with your ex there, I'm sure you can see. If I step on this eggshell, everything changes.
Still trying to trace it out in childhood.
My analogy is like a letter. A letter in the mail for my ID.
Yeah.
What's in here? Oh, if I open this, my world might change.
Feels like something. Mum's angry. Something.
Was there alcohol in your house when you were a kid?
No. Mum had the odd glass of wine.
Okay. But was there a bottle of wine in your house somewhere?
There were a few bottles of wine that were caked in dust because they were drunk that slowly, and they were the ones that people had brought round for dinner over the years.
Fair enough.
So there wasn't an alcohol
Where were they kept?
Causing problem behind the TV, sort of just shoved in the corner.
Interesting. You know where they were?
I knew where they were.
Could you reach them?
I could have.
Did you?
No.
Never?
Never. That's not trying to hide something. I didn't.
I don't assume that you are.
Yeah.
I am making the question of perhaps there was a time once upon a time when you reached for one.
Oh, in that sense.
And maybe it didn't go so well for you.
The alcohol feels like a secondary effect.
Something to
It's
maybe some association will help you find.
it's like it's a thing I didn't do, not a thing I did.
Seems like a philosophy that you were taught and accepted wholeheartedly.
In the sense of I'm trying to make sense of some disjointed feelings and images, but like
you need to walk through it.
Mum's mad at something I didn't do, which actually that could be 1,000 fragments put together into one because oh, you didn't clean your room, oh, you didn't do this, oh, you didn't do that, just a whole lot of little things.
Because you didn't and chose to do something you would rather do for personal pleasure or happiness, so you failure. It's kind of freaky that this seems rather generalizable. Is that the right word? Anyway, to thing that makes you happy in general. Which also makes me kind of associate it with the finances thing.
Yeah, it's like I'm just wondering whether it's the happily playing having forgotten about the need to do some chores or something, or come to dinner, or be back at a certain time. Not out like partying or anything, but like um oh, why do I feel like there's a root experience that got reinforced? Not deliberately reinforced, but yeah, repeated similar. Yeah.
An unconscious association that was built.
The feeling of happily doing something and then
something cracking down on you.
yeah, it's like, why haven't you done this yet?
Yeah. I could see how that would build an association of like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do the thing that makes me happy. Because when I do, I didn't do a thing I was supposed to do because I was enjoying myself and got distracted.
Definitely a pattern there in the
became
everyday
a
life.
failure in eyes of parent that was harsh. That I can't help but draw parallels to your modern day life of don't seem to do a lot of things that make you happy that are not productive.
Doing the
Can you name one? The thing that you do that is for your own enjoyment with no productive benefit.
the only one that comes to mind which is difficult to discuss with other people, but using the internet to satisfy base instincts, to talk about it in a roundabout way, which, yeah.
Okay. That is not something that I would say you should do.
Agreed.
I don't think there's an exception to that.
Addiction-related psychology.
That is pretty addictive. I'm not going to blame you for that.
Yeah, and
please stop.
And lack of other.
Also, not helping your dating prospects. But that's for another day. But on that topic, don't. Please don't. If you're going to do that thing, don't use the internet for it. Don't use visual images at all. If you have an imagination, If you need to use your imagination, fine. I still don't think you should do that, but if you're going to do it that way. Let's not talk about that anymore today.
Yeah, there's...
Particularly when we're talking about your childhood and your mother.
There's plenty of internal arguments about that already.
For another day. Maybe I'm not drunk enough for that one.
I think I'd need to be drunk for that one.
Well, that's a joke, but no, I don't want to talk about that. Still sitting in front of you. Get a bit of no call of the void.
What do you mean by void in this context?
Call of the void is the phenomenon when you get where you're faced with a thing that you could do that is something you can't take back. And a part of you goes, do it, because you can't take it back the second you've done it.
The louder part is the one frantically scrambling away from the edge.
Generally, yeah. But call of the void is the part that's like, if you do this, you can't undo it, and your world will change forever.
Yeah, internal scream.
I'm not saying it's the only thing, I'm just making the notion if that is a thing.
Yeah. Fighting the dragons in my head is a more controllable space.
It's easier.
But less progressible.
I'm still surprised the pure exploratory, thank you. The pure exploratory, God, that doesn't sound right, I hate dyslexia. Maybe it's a past life memory of a different language interfering with my current model.
Oh, I had nuance until very recently instead of nuance. I didn't know it was a problem.
Oh. Yes, I remember that now. Should have a bit of a fuck it.
Wondering if failure to do all the little things, as opposed to sort of compounded into a can't even do the little things sense. I can tell there's heavy emotions coming up because of the stress response. Uneven breathing and fluttery feeling heartbeat.
What should you do about that?
Find out what the hell it is. It's annoying. It's like, what the hell are you? What's the problem?
Okay, well, you have a manifestation of the fear somewhat associated with it right in front of you. It's an item that you can focus it all on, which this is all focused on, as far as I can tell.
Temptation to punch it or something.
Seems unhelpful.
Oh, agreed. Still present. Although there is a...
No, come on.
What?
We're in the middle of a recording. This is not helpful. Don't let me call it out. Get it back. Hold it. It's right there. You were able to pick it up before, at least.
Just trying to work out why there's such a stress response. Oh, no, it's not that, is it? Back to the save the world childhood mentality of a sense of too much, in the sense of that's my responsibility. I need to. No, that's too cliched.
Mm, doesn't mean that it's wrong.
In the sense of I need to be good enough for that, and that
Who wanted you to save the world?
me.
You got that from yourself at a childhood age. I mean, I could get the savior complex from late teens or whatever, sure, but childhood?
David Attenborough, not his fault, but
Yeah, alright.
the whenever there was a nature documentary, we watched it basically, and
I hate his documentaries now, so that's look at this beautiful thing. You're destroying existence. Look at this beautiful thing. You're evil.
that can be there's aspects of that to dive into another time, but the sense of it's up to me and I need this is so cliched. I'm not sure if
That's alright. Don't
the
worry about cliche because
yeah,
cliche just means something that is common.
yeah, yeah. The sense that I need to be good enough, that any little failure is
You need to be perfect.
oh god, the response to that in my head. Perfect's not good enough.
Well, A, it's impossible. You're not Jesus. B, he ain't real. And C, in whose image? In whose eyes?
It's not, is it? I don't think it's someone's eyes. It's like the task, what's-
Okay, I want to argue with that part and try and convince that part of you that maybe this isn't so adverse to your goals as it is. But I don't think that part of you is particularly healthy for you. If I was going to, I'd make something of the case of how many great and revolutionary and visionary ideas that changed the world were a result of altered states? Most of them.
And
But
how many of the people who I picked to idolize in this space I can fully see enjoying a nice beer.
well, regardless of alcohol, the thing that we're using to record this on was a vision of someone who was pretty hopped up on psychedelics. By the way. Yeah. I think that that is probably the base. I can't afford to do things that I like that get in my way of achieving a goal that I'm not capable of achieving. The weight
There's
of the
a
world
hell
shouldn't
of
be on your shoulders.
there's a hell of a lot of that pattern in my everyday life in which hobbies I've picked.
Yeah, there is.
The amateur radio being a prime example of the vision of then being able to provide communication in a disaster and
All of our conversations about environmental shutdown and oil.
the job I have, which is
Still good. I would encourage you to keep it, but the philosophy around it, questionable. It's a pretty system-wide error.
logically I can make the argument that as a human being it makes more sense to like deal with human scale problems. one human deal with one human problem.
Is that you're
logically, but
is that you're away from cosmic scale altered states argument, or is that away from changing the world argument?
Away from the changing world argument. The
Yeah, Peterson's advice.
But his answer to nihilism. That doesn't solve the problem. That doesn't take away the pain.
You're not the savior. You're not better intrinsically than others. You were not raised to save the world. Or if you were, you shouldn't have been. You're one ape amongst the rest. You're allowed to be not good enough. No one is. We're all flawed and broken. We all have our troubles. We all do things that aren't purely good. We're not a robot. I only do the good things for existence, regardless of what I want.
It's like I wonder, like empathy with the world in a sense of it hurts, and I want to stop the hurt.
What's hurting?
Everything that's dying.
Example?
There used to be so much more life. And so many stories of waves black with fish, flocks of birds that would take days to pass and darken the sky the whole time they're passing, bison to the horizon. So many stories of joyful, abundant life, and it died.
Okay, A, not conscious of experiencing that joy. B, what do we have instead?
Trinkets.
No, not trinkets. Human beings. All the life went away, except all of us. 8 billion human beings living, breathing, laughing, loving, enjoying their families, their friends, enjoying sunsets and sunrises and rain and heartache. Actually experiencing existence. Oh, there's less bugs. Yeah, there's less bison.
It might be why the more, I guess it's pantheist, I guess it would be, views of nature and the world.
It's nature wizard.
It's not quite pantheist, because I know that the level of consciousness of most animals and fish is not enough to perceive what I'm talking about. Like only the great apes and dolphins and whales would have a chance, but the sense that there's greater intelligences, non-physical spirits, nature spirits, whatever you want to call them, who are part of that, who were able to comprehend the suffering and watch helplessly, and that there's a sense of guilt of living from death, living due to death, and don't want to kill to live. There's of course killing to eat. That's a life for sustenance. There's a balance there, but to take like, oh, I keep coming off the rainforest, but that again feels so cliched. But to take abundant, joyfully complex and intricate life webs and strip mine them to put up apartment blocks of people, there's a tragedy there that I feel complicit in.
Okay, yes. Is that all we are? Is that the defining element of humanity?
It emotionally dominates.
I'm sure the imagery is rather scarring for you, but that's not what I asked. Is that the defining element of humanity? Is that what we are? Or is that a negative consequence of people too poor to be able to make the choice?
And too arrogant to be able to care. There's both at play.
It's more the first than the second.
I feel like I teeter between what I'm doing is useful and good and it's worth doing, and nihilism of why am I even bothering to be alive?
It's nihilism, by the way.
No.
Thinking of that. It was, you said it before, I didn't want to grab that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, of course you're going to have the nihilism of, like, why the hell am I here if you don't believe that humanity is a good thing?
Or that I'm good unless I'm doing something to make things better.
What, against human nature in your worldview? You have to sacrifice all human impulses and do everything that's purely logical.
There's a place, speaking emotionally, there's a place for humans in this. There's
Oh yeah? Is it like starving and dying in the forest?
No. I think that's why I latched onto permaculture, because it offered that hopeful vision of
Okay, that is better than
living,
cut and drying in the rainforest.
building, taking the cleared forest, the strip mined life, and rebuilding life around it with a place in it for humans. So that instead of eating the world, we're part of it, and that there's probably another route to the wanting to be
being stewards.
Part of them. Yeah, which doesn't seem to, it doesn't say enough. Like, it's not just shepherding it and stewarding it, it's that joyful dance of, it's not just, oh, I take care of you. It's
the weight of responsibility of humanity for existence crushes you.
It's you are my mother and I am your father, which is a weird thing to come to mind, but it's like
it's pretty on the money, yeah.
The renewal, the being we come from nature and we return to nature and we give to nature and we rebuild nature, and it's like
this is nature's problem.
Okay, so I'm not the first. Obviously, I'm not the first.
No one's coming to save you. No one's coming to save us. It's up to us.
Yes.
And you feel crushed by that.
Because it conceptualizes as it's up to me.
Yeah. You're not alone. 8 billion of us. It's not just you. The average person is not. Yeah. It's not just you. People do their best. They do what they can. When they are able. You can't expect savior level of action from all humans or yourself. All you're going to do is end up killing yourself for not feeling good enough.
Oh, that triggers a harsh laugh image in my head.
Yeah, you need to take it way easier on yourself. You're not the savior. You don't have to save the world yourself. You just need to not make it worse. And you've done enough. Okay, 8 billion people. You could do 51%, making the world 1% better than it is. That's enough. Alright, you don't need to change everything yourself. You don't need to be ahead of the curve. There's 8 billion people, and we have a pretty high turnover rate. And we're not going to end the world in 10 years. Right? If you make it better, if the world is better that you were here than that you were not, that's enough. That's not a high bar either. You're able to enjoy a drink. You're able to have a product that is technology based, that was made for you. You can do some negatives as long as there are some positives too.
I think the world is better for me being here.
Yeah.
Well, frankly, I'm not sure if I'd still be here.
The world is 100% better for you being here. You don't have to crucify yourself to save the world. Like, it's noble of you to try. I'm going to give you that. It's kind of amazing. But it's not exactly helpful for your sanity.
Just the concept of that, in the sense of looking at this now, it feels, like I said, it's so cliched and so, like...
I just can't eat feelings. This is real, man. This is the deepest part of you, I think.
Just want to make it better.
Yeah. You are making it better. Think about what you do for a living, mate. This will be the aversion to getting any form of relatively new technology, even though you program for a living.
On a laptop that's just as old as this one.
Yeah, well, that's the point. This thing is I made the point earlier today. My cell phone is legitimately 5 times as fast as this. And I use it for listening to podcasts. But I do it because it's nice. Advanced technology with it, and I enjoy it.
Mine's probably a similar...
Your phone is a lot faster than this laptop.
But I bought that off you.
You did.
Because it was your old phone. Yes.
Beside the point.
Yes, broken screen and all.
I really do think you should open that drink. You can let loose a little bit. Right? You don't have to be perfect all day, every day. That is too high of a burden to bear. You're going to break under it. And your subconscious can only take it for so long before it shatters you. You're not going to be helpful to your kid if you break in front of them. You need to be able to go, okay, yeah, I do some bad things. Yeah, I do some good. But I'm alright. You're holding yourself to too high of a bar. You can hear it in your breath, man. This is not healthy.
There's still an internal argument about...
You're borderline at tears.
Yeah,
they're dripping.
Yeah.
This is not...
Yeah, they're leaking out of it.
This is not good, and you know it. You need to enjoy yourself while you're here. Like, yeah, okay, we came here, we chose to come here, I think you believe, to be here to do a thing. But that's not all. We're also here to experience existence. It's a beautiful thing, your conscious experience. you kind of got to enjoy a little bit of the time you're here. Do things you like that don't have
So if I don't
world-saving values.
If I don't set the bar at infinity, where do I set it? Because I don't know.
Okay, how about start at 51% and then plus 0.001% interest over time. I am good at where I am now as long as I am not making things worse. But I could try and be better tomorrow. That's enough.
I think one of the things I've been hoping for from a partner, a romantic partner, is validation of that. So hell, I didn't get that in the last relationship, and
sounding like you having not got that so much from childhood.
Yeah, it's like maybe the idea of what I am is good enough. It's like I can intellectually I can look at it and work out, yeah, that's probably reasonable.
You're only going to convince your emotional side through action. Hence my point about touching branches. And not digging straight for roots. I mean, like, we've been digging for roots, that's what we've been doing, but you know my point. You gotta show yourself. Let's come back to the money thing. I am worth spending some money on me. I am worth doing the thing I enjoy for my own pleasure. How is that not a statement of self-value? I value myself enough to get some nice clothes, to, I don't know, have a reasonable car, to do a thing I enjoy that's a hobby that has no productive value, to spend money on a thing that I like for me because I want it. If your own wants aren't valued highly in yourself, you're not valuing yourself highly.
Yep.
Which,
so
yeah,
I think
comes to the dating thing, but that's beside the point.
I think my what was that train I had? My internal no, I lost that thread. So like my internal value judgment and what it's based on and what I'm worth and what it's worth doing and
You need to loosen up. You can feel yourself compressing and rigiding. Rigiding? Becoming rigid.
You commented today about how I had stiff body language.
Or saying it right now, how tight does your chest feel?
Oh yeah, very tight.
Have the damn drink. Loosening inhibitions? You'd be surprised how good you'll feel. Also the reason why people do it. Feels good. People wouldn't do it if they didn't enjoy it. I mean, you eat cake because you enjoy it. And yeah, it's got negative health effects, and yeah, it's addictive, but you don't care. I deserve some cake because, it's a special occasion, or I did a good thing. How's it different? Look, I legitimately care about you. I wouldn't say that you should have that unless I think you legitimately should. Don't cling to it. Don't become a habit. But today, I don't know, cheers to some deep realization, maybe?
The idea of my mind's not keeping track of concepts well at the moment.
Well, we sort of shattered the foundation of your personality in the last half hour.
Yeah.
That's terrifying. This might be, I don't know, greatest moment of your life, or rebuilding, changing your perception of yourself. You treat yourself as if you're worth enjoying doing the things you want to do. Ooh. I see that.
What?
There was a steal in that look. Interesting that that's showing up now.
Yeah, I'm more readable to others than myself.
You're sort of in a vulnerable state.
Yeah,
things like that tend to come up. I would
it's
say
also
they do.
not in youth. Well, no, that was also in vulnerable states after breaking up. The mutual friend we met through had similar things of seeing me more than I saw me.
That's very fiddly.
Yes.
Pull the void. You're allowed to relax. You're allowed to enjoy yourself. You're worth doing things that you want to do for fun.
Scared little voice inside asking if that's true.
It is. You did amazing things, man. You had a son who is really well put together and rather intelligent for his age. Asks very deep questions. It's quite interesting to hear over the phone. You're doing good things, you're eating well, you're a healthy person, you're actively working on a thing to change the world, which is working somewhat. You're allowed to do things you enjoy too.
There's an element to all the stuff that's coming up now is avoidance.
The bullet. Pure experiment.
Yeah, I've got all the logical things saying it's not going to hurt.
Well, it's not.
Mm.
But it's the truth. It's not going to hurt you. You'll have a new experience. You might even enjoy yourself. How bad would that be? Cheers. Not a bad tasting thing for first go at it. Certainly could be worse. It's not a beer, I'll give you that.
Hell of a fight in my head. It feels like it's gone bare knuckle between different bits.
You come this far. What do you got to this?
Impulsive response, my sanity, which is, I'm not sure what that means.
Do you think that your state that you've just described before is sane?
I don't feel very sane right now.
You're not. This is not a well-functioning, put-together person. You've had a very, very well automatized system.
As in separated into non-interfering units.
Seems very much like the system I built for myself that we discussed not too long ago.
Mm.
Until a crack in it and realizing that it's something I built.
And now it's my turn to have the same fun experience.
It'll feel a lot better. Just have a drink. Relax. Well, it's not so bad.
Frothier than I expected.
Well, it is a Coke, I suppose. Fizzy drinks. The world's not so bad. You can do things that you enjoy. You can spend money on yourself. You can waste time on yourself. You're not.
I don't know how to find that balance. I don't know what it looks like.
Practice. For me, I went too far and I called it back.
And I'm coming to the other extreme.
yeah, you've never gone even a toe over the line of enjoying yourself, as far as I can tell. Without a productive excuse.
I bought a remote control aeroplane after spending 6 months looking at pictures of it.
Okay, that's something. Did you have to justify it to yourself?
I justified it by I've spent 6 months looking at pictures of this, and I have plenty of money to get it because I was spending less than the government was giving me to live as a student.
Assumption in the right direction. Assumption. Sorry, that was the wrong word. A step. There we go. Step in the right direction. I feel a lot calmer now that you've actually had a sip. It's kind of funny. Which is weird. No, I think this is an important step. Your enjoyment is valuable enough in and of itself to justify you doing things to enjoy them. You shouldn't sacrifice the things you're responsible for them. Not entirely, but there's a balance there. You gotta enjoy your life, otherwise you're not sane. Hence your, like, literally shakiness before.
Mm.
I mean, this it's your life. You're here, experiencing this. And yeah, you want to do as much good as you can while you're here, but you're also, are you wanting to drag yourself over the coals for the next 60 years? To help others? Which, somewhat noble, but painful.
You commented this morning that while you were the one that had the coffee, I was the one who looked wired. I feel like
I'm sort of seeing where it's coming from. Well, we were talking about the relationship issue thing, which is probably why it's pressing on the same nerve as far as I can tell.
The sense of not being good enough.
Yeah. This all seems related to that entirely. Same with the technology discussions that we keep having, same with the oil discussions and ecology discussions that we've been having, same as the dating and money and the car and the status signals. They all seem to come back to this one point that you've hit on tonight, which is kind of amazing, to be honest, that you've nailed it.
It feels so like, it's like, I've been beating myself up because I want to save the planet. It's like that. It just sounds so damn cliched.
Well, I mean, you are a man of your generation. You can't blame yourself too much. And it's a noble vision, It's better than having no noble vision and being totally nihilistic about everything. You tried. And I'm not saying to stop trying, but, 80-20 maybe. You gotta have something that you enjoy. And you will know when you've gone too far. Because, I mean, say with my gaming, for instance, that's generally the thing that I enjoy. I've been doing it for so long, I've been trying to find the boundary of how much is acceptable. I have a time in my life where I play games, which is early in the morning. I get up 3:30 in the morning to be ready to go, leave my house at 4:30 in the morning to go and cut cows, which is the earliest time we do it. We don't do that every day. We're getting close to the end of the season. Every second day, we do it at like 10 o'clock rather than 5. It's called 16-hour, beside the point. Currently, that's the time I play games. Either that half an hour on the early morning day, or I have like 4 or 5 hours on the other day. Sometimes I want to. Most of the times now, I wake up, I look at the thing I enjoy, the Xbox, and I go, I don't feel like it, I'd rather sleep.
Mm-hmm.
But if there's a game I'm particularly enjoying, then yeah, I'd rather stay up and play it. It's not obsessive. And I have limits. Like, for example, I only play completely single player story games. Or a game that I play with my wife. I will never play any form of multiplayer game with any other person.
Mm-hmm.
because otherwise there's a social aspect. I get drawn in, and when you play multiplayer games, there's no start and end. It's like you play a match and then you play another match and another match and another match. It's endless.
Yeah.
I don't do anything endless. I play a game that has like an 8-hour story that's a cool experience, and then it's done. I have to play another one. Or maybe I don't want to. Same with drinking. Like, I'll have a few. I won't have many. It won't be every weekend. It'll be on a special occasion. You need space in your life for things that you enjoy. But you also need to bound them so that they don't interfere with your productive goals. Job, business, family, changing, saving the world. Whatever it is you're doing. It comes back to the, what is it? Aristotelian mean.
What?
Is it Aristotelian mean? That the virtue is in the middle of a spectrum between two vices.
Would that be pronounced Aristotelian mean? If it's from Aristotle?
I guess. It's something I heard from someone else.
Yeah,
so
about
maybe
yeah.
they pronounced it incorrectly, but that's my point. It's on a spectrum between two vices. Never enjoying yourself ever and sacrificing your life to. I think that's actually a vice. That's very unhealthy. But also, the other side, being completely hedonistic and only engaging in personal pleasure while doing nothing for the world. Also vice. Very clear. That's pretty bad, and there's a lot of this in this world. Probably better to be towards your end, but also not healthy. You got to find the right balance. Yeah, I do some things that I enjoy, but I also do a lot to try and make the world better. You know, I have value. I do things that value. I do things that matter. But sometimes I like to sit down and enjoy myself at the end of the day. It's important. You know, you have to treat yourself like your wants matter. And you're in a tough situation being, you know, a single father with your kid.
His wants matter more. Well, his needs matter more.
Not always. Not always. But it's very easy to convince yourself that it's always. You got to have time for yourself. There needs to be a time also where your kid sees, we talked about this earlier, that, oh, my adult parent needs to go and do an adult thing, and he actually can't have me interfere with it because it is more important than my want. I think that's really important for a kid. See, there are things that adults do that are more important than a child's wants. But also, when the adult is not doing the super important thing, then the adult will listen to my wants over, you know, what they want.
Yeah.
There's a mix there.
Yeah. So I feel like I'm.
No, you're right.
I'm coming down from the adrenaline high.
You're getting an adrenaline dump.
Yeah.
Drink up, buddy.
I'm trying to work out how much of my current mental state is.
No, it's far too soon. You've got nothing from that.
Okay, then it's just adrenaline dump.
It's just adrenaline dump, yeah. I do want you to finish it though.
The fact of getting an adrenaline spike from this says a lot.
Yeah, but also the interesting note, you had an adrenaline spike before you had it. Now you've crossed the threshold, adrenaline dump.
I'm not sure whether it was this or the confrontation of, well, both.
You've crossed the threshold. You've allowed yourself to do the thing. Feel better?
Because when the threshold was crossed and nothing happened.
The fidgety leg movement is somewhat unsettling.
Hard to tell if that's anything. Well, I've always been fidgety in some way or other, so it's hard to pick what the source of that is.
You know what's funny?
What?
I thought up until today, I thought we went so deep on all of my shit on the show, and I felt like I was being really exposed, and you weren't particularly. Oh, Jesus. I mean, maybe we went that deep with me, but I don't think so. I'm really curious to see what happens now. Where you go from here. What other things do you like? Keep drinking. Tell me. Sorry. I know how that sounds, but I'm serious. You want to have the effect. That's the point. And also, just you've crossed the barrier, so you know. Keep going. What other things do you like? What are things that you really enjoy doing?
I used to read a lot more stories, like not non-fiction books. I've got a library made of non-fiction books.
Like pure fiction.
Yeah, like Terry Pratchett was great, and
Yeah, you were talking about him earlier. Is that he's like a sci-fi writer, or what is he?
Okay. Anyone who listens to this and knows Terry Pratchett will be slightly upset at that. He
Why?
was knighted.
Oh, really?
Yes, Sir Terry Pratchett for service to literature. He's a bit of a surrealist writer.
I'm not a Philistine, by the way. Michael got me Dostoevsky today as a gift for my wedding vow renewal. I already had a copy. Okay? Not a Philistine.
He wrote the list of things to pick from.
This is true, that's my fault. But now I have a nicer version of it. And Michael also has a copy of it, which is cool.
Yeah, but where was I? Yeah.
Yeah, you go, sorry.
So Terry Pratchett's books are set on the Discworld, which is a giant disc, which sits on the back of 4 elephants standing on the back of a giant turtle flying through space. And the first 2 books are focused around the quest of a certain group of people to work out the gender of the turtle by dropping someone over the edge. And so, of course, the main character ends up being the one that's dropped over the edge.
Flat Earthers, let's go!
And then the one who falls over the edge, his main skill in life, his one big thing, is like only big thing he can do is not die.
I don't have my phone on me, but I'll add Terry Pratchett.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Maybe text me that at some point. I'll add it
Yes.
to my list of to get books. It's a good point. I need to have more fiction in my reading queue. It's all been non-fiction. I mean, I have had the Bible in my audiobook queue. I mean, that's technically fiction, but like not easy to read and not really for my enjoyment. Although in saying that, there's actually quite some entertaining stories that I've rather enjoyed. I can't believe driving around the farm on my bike. I remember having this distinct thought of like, oh, I want to listen to the Bible, and I just like felt myself turn and look at myself and go, what the fuck? Are you kidding me? I remember when I first left home, I went to live with an Indian family. The dad was alcoholic and abusive. He was out of the picture, but the mum was still there. Super religious, she was. Me and her son, who were the best mates I went to live with, very much not. Understatement of the year. I remember once that she came up to us said something Christian, and her son made fun of her. And she turned around to us and said, God has told me that both of you will be preachers one day, so I kind of don't care what you say. We, of course, laughed at her and made a lot of fun of her. And then I remember that every time I go, hey, there's actually value to Christianity. I just fucking remember this Indian lady who made amazing food being like, you're going to be a preacher one day. My God, I was a scoundrel.
Was.
Yes, was.
You can see the change. I don't have the comparison.
Oh, I am a saint compared to who I was. I can't believe I'm alive. Really. I would never encourage a teenager to drink.
I'm 29.
Yeah.
This is my first drink.
I still think it's funny that you're older than me.
And less emotionally matured.
I don't know. You're... okay. I was going to say, like, you're way more responsible than me. But then... this entire conversation was to the point that maybe that's not the healthiest thing.
Yeah, what's psychotic levels of self-responsibility?
I mean, yeah, the only reason that you don't save more money is that you'll lose your benefit if you do. But he told me that today. That is the truth. And the amount of money he has saved is not insignificant. FYI, that's my yearly expenses for bills. The amount of money you have saved. I could live on that in this house at my current job for an entire year. That's not counting food. My wife pays for food. Yeah, she got family tax credits. I'm not a big fan of government intervention or what do you call it, redistributionist policies.
But you won't say no?
I actually think that's a good one.
Okay.
Yeah, take money from the non-contributors who won't have kids and give it to married couples who have kids.
A little bit like Hungary's, what was it, 25% lifetime tax break to women with kids?
Yes, love it. Okay, Bjorn Lomborg, amazing dude. Investment into children. Ooh. I mean, when we had that conversation about what we could do to make the world a better place if governments actually weren't psychopathic or inept, almost all of the things that have the highest return on investment is like investment into children. Turns out, more not starved, educated children make the world better. Huh.
Even just off the bat that he's actually set out to answer that question, his answers have more validity than those who just said, this will solve this problem. Yeah. It's like, no, which problems need solving the most? And...
Just remember, every single one of his things is more people, better. Just remember that. He's done the math, he's done the analysis. They're all related to stopping miscarriages, stopping malnutrition, education for children. It's all more young, good people is better for the planet. And then you just cross-reference that with the idea of like, oh, limited resources, we're all going to die because more mouths to feed.
And how many...
Data disagrees.
Which generation, just looking at me, is the one that's most concerned about all this?
What, the one that has the best situation in history because of the greatest amount of people around? Hey, more wealthy people than ever before. Less, starving and poor people than ever before. Also more people on the planet than ever before. That's an interesting trend. It's almost like there's a pattern here. I'm terrified for my children, by the way. Absolutely shit scared.
In which version? Which version of existential terror are we referring to?
There's less Gen Zs than millennials.
I get them back to front. Hang on, millennials are
now... Gen Z. Oh, actually, you might be a millennial.
I was born in 93.
Millennial. Millennial!
Oh, I'm not sure what that...
Oh, I feel bad.
That whatever you call it would refer to.
95 was the last millennial.
Okay.
That's interesting. You're a millennial and I'm a Gen Z. Yes, I am Gen Z.
I don't know the significance of that in that sense.
Not proud. No, I'm not a big fan of the generation gap. I think if we split generations more, I think...
As in treat them separately?
No, what I was going to say is, okay, example, you have Gen X, and then you have Millennial, and then you have Gen Z. I think rather if you had Gen X, the borderline between Gen X and Millennial as its own thing, and then Millennial, and then the borderline between Millennial and Gen Z as its own thing, and then Gen Z, and then borderline for, I think, Alpha is what my kids will be, which is pretty cool. Alpha Gen. What generation are your kids?
Alpha.
But I think that's more of a thing because the bulk of my generation are the raised with internet children. Whereas I am at the high end of my generation where we didn't have internet as children.
I remember.
We had
What's
technology,
that?
but not internet.
I remember. What's that? It's a search engine. What is it? Ask Jeeves.
See, you were older than me.
Way before Google, yeah.
No, see, at the point that
And my parents were probably late adopters.
my first contact with the internet was a phone, but it was a flip phone. Okay. Asterisk. No, there was contact with a laptop that had internet, but I couldn't see the value in it. It was like, well, what am I going to do? Look at emails? And it was dial up. Oh, dial up.
And the idea of being able to use the phone at the same time as the internet.
Yeah, no. But no, when I was like 12 or 13, like I had a flip phone and I could like kind of look up something, but it was really shit. It didn't work very well. The greatest use of technology in my childhood was like I could look at TV, I could play a game, and I could listen to music on my phone. When technology became real interesting, I was probably 15 or 16, and that was the discovery of YouTube. It's 14. I remember we talked about that. Yeah. That was interesting. But I didn't have it when I was 7 or 4 or 3. Like, I feel terrified for my kids. I went over to workmate's place recently with my daughter, and she was playing with their kids. And I go in and check on her. They're playing with dolls or whatever on the floor. On the bed, there are 2 phones faced up, both of which auto-playing shit from TikTok. They're not looking at them, but they're there. I know for sure that the older kids that were there, youngest of which is 4, just like does that. The parents like, here you go, TikTok. They don't give them TikTok; they give them their phone. No restrictions, no locks, nothing. They just
distraction box.
Yeah, kid's 4. Not a new thing for him. They have a 7-year-old girl who is 100% shaped by that kind of thing. It's kind of scary to see. And then older boys who are, I think that wasn't so present when they were younger. But then, like, even later on, I went into the lounge and I had to explain, like, when my kid's in here, you're not to put YouTube shit on the TV. Not allowed. I came back later and there was some video on the TV about, like, brothers and sisters pranking each other. Or something. Like, oh, you need to go and get revenge for that thing. And I came in the room like, nope, none of that. Internet for children, I think, is horrifying. I'll put an asterisk on that. I'm not going to be banning my kids from technology. My kids are going to have lots of technology, and they're going to be able to play with it. They ain't having internet. That's a hard no. I'm going to be the air gap. I will download YouTube videos I think are appropriate, or entire channels that I think are appropriate or educational, and give them access to it. I'll give them access to computers that they can fuck around with. They ain't having internet.
Yeah, I need to think more on that.
What's your state with that with Tasman at the moment?
He whinges about wanting videos because he does get them. It's like, okay, here you go. And I'm trying to push him towards Disney movies and resorting to letting him.
Okay, hard asterisks on the Disney movies.
Old Disney movies.
Good.
Yes. Yeah, like the pre-1940s ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
my daughter has those on her phone.
Like old 101 Dalmatians and Pinocchio so far.
Pinocchio's good. Sleeping Beauty.
It's in there.
Yeah. Have you seen it?
Oh, my mama used to have it on tape, and I remember watching it a bunch of times there. And grandkids, be distracted.
It actually got me.
I
remember I was looking for movies to pick for her. I was like, okay, I want you to be able to like watch a thing and not bother me for a while, but I don't want you to be like propagandized. So I went through and I looked at them, and then I remembered some of the ones Peterson mentioned. So I found that one and I put it on. And I was going to get up and go and cook. I didn't get up. Legitimately, I wanted to watch the first 5 minutes of that, and I watched the whole movie front to back. It's an hour. It's 2 hours long. An hour and 20? No, it's an hour and 20. Yeah, I'm thinking 120. No, it's an hour and 20 minutes. And yeah, it got me. It's a good movie. It's actually good. Which is probably why it was actually recommended. Same with Pinocchio. That got me too.
Yeah.
They're worth watching. I mean, it's the 1940s movie. It's kind of hilarious. And it's, it's terrible animation. It's still pretty good.
It's a story.
It's worth watching.
The pictures help the story.
It's a really good story. It's animated well.
Well, what I'm saying is that you don't need... It doesn't need to be photorealistic, realistic-looking people to tell a story.
Yeah, but, I mean, it's hand-drawn and it's well animated because they just literally drew 24 frames for every second.
That's a lot of drawing.
That's a lot of drawing. They were expensive movies at the time.
Yeah.
But they didn't have any other way of doing it. The only modern-ish movie that I gave her access to was Cars. Because I watched that and I watched it when I was a kid a lot, and I approved that one because I think the story's pretty wholesome. It's a rebellion against modern egocentrism and narcissism. It's sort of like, hey, traditions kind of matter, and maybe you shouldn't only care about yourself. Good movie, released in 2005.
Yeah, back to trend.
It did really well because of it.
Yeah.
And then they were like, no, we need to make propaganda.
Yeah, they turned the next one into that. Cars too.
Yeah, and everything since then. No Frozen in this house, I can tell you that much. Grr.
You have a much more discerning eye for that than I.
Well, you know what else is? My daughter has a discerning eye for that because she's seen that movie. She's seen them, both of them. No one for it. Never heard about it again since she watched it.
Interesting.
And I remember watching it with the eye of like, this is... I mean, I know Peterson said it was propaganda or whatever, and I was like, okay, yeah, sure, maybe. He can be a bit extreme. And then I watched it and I went, oh my fucking god. Do not let your kids watch modern shit like that. Please. I let my kids watch horror movies before I let them watch that. Which I have.
What horror movie?
Movies with horror elements. I will let my kids watch legitimate adult movies before I let them watch childhood movies that are designed to be propagandistic. I mean, my kids have watched full Marvel movies for that reason. Watch Star Wars.
Yeah, that one's the original trilogy.
Yes, the original trilogy.
Yeah, yes.
It was great. My daughter headbanged to it. It was the second movie, The Imperial March, and she's like 6 months old, and she's on my lap. My wife didn't quite capture it on film, but she got close. And it came on. It was great. It's great. Headbanging to it. I'll never forget that. I think I have a wee video of her looking at the Ewoks. But yeah, so like actually good stories, even though they depict death, is fine. Like she knows what death is. I found that out the other day.
Yeah.
She like pointed at something that happened and she said he died. And I went, yeah, you did. Wasn't a shocking thing to her. She already knew what it was. She just didn't have a word for it. She knew what it was before she had the words.
Yeah, because at that age, it's like, thing, absorb, and it's not. None of it's shocking as such.
Actually, seeing as we said that, here's an interesting thing. My wife, when she was pregnant, saw dreams that my daughters had while they were in the womb.
Interesting.
Like, observed them from top down kind of thing. 100% had death in them. Like, at 3 months gestation.
That would be hella consistent with reincarnation.
Yeah, I can tell you this. I can tell you the dream because it still blows me away to this day. Okay, she might have been 6 months pregnant at this point, something around that range. That sounds about right. Kid woke up in an old, cracked down house. Sort of, cobwebs everywhere, grey, rotting wood kind of thing. She was in a chair. Directly opposite her was a chair with a skeleton in it. She got up off the chair, she went out the door, and she was in a valley. There was a river that cut through the valley. And on one side of the river was a green, beautiful valley with a dead tree. And on the other side of the river was a dead, evil-looking valley with a live tree. She crossed the river. She climbed up the live tree. She connected a pipe to it, and she took it across to the dead tree and connected it to that. That tree then came to life, and houses started growing out of the ground. And then people showed up, and that was the end of the dream. There was like bees or something in the live tree that was on the dead side as well. That was the dream.
There's layers of symbolism in there.
Plenty. And what I wonder is if the mother provides a scaffold of existence and that the child explores it. And it's like a connection of consciousness bridge.
I would put it more as past life memories not yet sealed off. If they end up... Because children...
Okay, why would it be a learning dream then? If it was past life memories.
That doesn't mean the past life memories and lessons were fully processed and realised.
Maybe. It seems a bit basic though. A bit fundamental. Both daughters had something like this. The other one was a bit different, but it was the same vein. It would make more sense to me that there is some kind of link between mother and child. And that because she was like watching from above. It was like she had set up a diorama. And she was walking through it.
As in, your wife was almost watching the thing part of her mind had set up?
She was both above, watching from above, and also seeing through the eyes of the daughter at the same time. She was both. Which is what makes me think that it's both of them were in the dream. Perhaps that's my bias that I want it to be that case, but I think that's what's happened.
It seems reasonable that allowing for the existence of higher planes and yada yada yada, that the mother's body is absolutely connected to the baby's body.
Yeah, why wouldn't their minds be connected?
Yeah, it's like, let me help you build this that you need.
Yeah, it makes sense that the psyche would be somewhat connected as it was developing. And I'm not precluding the previous lives or higher spirit connection thing either.
Yeah, they're not mutually exclusive in any way.
No. Feel a lot calmer now?
Yeah.
Good.
There's a bit of a, well, what do I think there now type gap.
You still got away, you still haven't even finished your drink. You're making good progress though. So, I remember saying that I wanted to do a proper longer show.
Yeah, what do we call this one?
Almost 3 hours. Ooh.
What do we call this one? Not aliens.
Not aliens. Yeah, that's actually good. Because it opens like aliens, sir. We could still do that if you want. Ha ha ha.
Not now.
I feel like we need a reference it, seeing as we mentioned that. Okay. We were at the dining table with family that is pretty normie nearby. Although you went straight into some pretty hardcore topics with them over breakfast before realising that they were normies. Oh, come on, you went straight into gender transition and sterilisation of gays.
I thought that they'd already started that.
No, that was you.
Maybe I misheard the conversation.
That was you.
Okay. I caught the tail end of something. I must have misheard it.
Okay, they would have brought it up because they're quite traditional people, and they'd say something like, "Oh, the new thing, that's bad. Better old school way." And then you went like, whoa, straight into detailed thing. They agree with you, by the way, but it's also...
Yeah, I don't read people that well.
He's a lot better than he used to be. When we were there and he wasn't a big fan of me, the idea of bringing up a thing that was outside the normal paradigm or that he disagreed with was legitimately terrifying.
Thank you for the work you've done in that.
He threatened my life multiple times. Legitimately, and I was actually concerned. Problem with alcohol. Interesting coincidence. He's since got his shit together. And actually, that's not my problem. Not my handiwork. Milani did that. I keep using names enough. You guys are probably ideas eventually. But then again, if you're actually...
Oh, the internet is surprisingly good at tracking people down and working things out.
Yeah.
Like...
But at the point when people care enough about us to do that, I'm probably more comfortable in being public anyway. Because they're only going to care about us if we're successful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're nobodies at the moment.
Yeah,
no
what's the point in outing us if we don't actually have, like, the legitimate following? And if we have a legitimate following, then, like, I'm earning enough money from this that I can actually, you know...
Hire a lawyer?
Why not just be comfortable being in public?
Okay.
I was talking about this with my wife today. Doesn't matter how successful this ever is going to be, I'm not quitting my job. I love farming. It's great.
Oh, another thing that's not in the official narrative. Just a little thing that...
Outdoor, all day. Driving around on the bike, the quad bike. I don't do motorbikes for somewhat obvious reasons. Wind in my hair, sun in my face, or rain.
Helping happy cows.
Yeah, they're mostly happy. I mean, that's sort of secondary. It's just more of like, I work outdoors. My work is physical. It connects me to the real world. I look at the horizon, I don't see buildings. I see hills, I see trees, I see grass. I see the sun. I will never replace that feeling. I don't care how much money I earn. I'm never living indoors again. I can't go back. I can't do it.
It's almost like...
I wonder how that feels for you.
Well,
being still in that way.
The image that came up as you were saying it was animals that were raised in captivity versus in the wild, and how the ones that lived in the wild will often die in captivity just from being in the cage, and that growing up in a city is a bit like that.
Okay, well...
I didn't grow up in the city, but go there.
Close enough. How did you feel being on the bike, even going to the mate's house today, or yesterday?
Breath of fresh air.
Seeing the stars and all that.
The breath of fresh air, not just in the literally breathing fresh air instead of city air.
Which is not trivial, by the way. I don't have asthma anymore because of that. Neither does my wife or my children.
But in the sense of the space. It's not noise of cars. There's grass and trees. And it's not like squeezed in with too many other people around.
Yeah.
And if I'm paying attention to that as I leave a city, it's like, oh, right, space for my mind. Like the number of minds in one space. And Christchurch is a small city. I would hate to be in
small,
a big city. I don't know how I would handle that, but it would be...
Even the discomfort's nice. It's weird. Like, okay, I'll get up, 3:30 in the morning. Hard time to get up. Most people don't do that in this industry, by the way. Cups on standard time is 5 for the industry. So most people get up at like 4:15, maybe, something like that. Walking out in the cold, maybe it's below 0, maybe it's like 5 degrees, maybe it's 10. It's cold. Walking out, shivering, whatever, I get to the light. Actually experiencing the cold, there's something I like about that now. I look up at the stars when there's no light out, when there's no clouds, which is when it's legitimately cold. I can see the whole Milky Way. Right there. I mean, there's a street light on the corner of my street, but once I get on the bike...
It's street
light. Yeah, but the second I get through those trees and get on the bike, I can look up straight up and go, oh, look at that. Drive along, cold wind on my face. I can feel that. I'm not in an air-conditioned box. I get to the thing and I have to do physical hard work, or I have to open up stuff and move physical things around.
Don't need to go to the gym. Don't need to pay money to try and get fit.
I mean, you don't have to do that anyway. But it's more just my job, my existence, hands-on every day touches reality. Cold, discomfort, hot, beautiful weather, sunrise, sunset, cool cloud formations, hard wind, rain, hail, snow, grass under my feet. It's real. And yeah, I know that sounds like pretentious or arrogant or whatever, but I don't know, man. There's really something about that. And like I decided recently that I want to finish my degree and actually get my full degree in IT something. I'm thinking I'll probably go more towards networking this time. Even then, I don't know if I could not have this be part of my life. It's more valuable to me than money at this point. Which is weird. It's not comfortable. Nothing about it is comfortable. It's difficult work.
Physically comfortable. Psychologically.
Even then, like, you have to get up in the morning and go out in the freezing cold and do a thing. It's not comfortable psychologically.
True.
It's pissing down or it's hailing or it's snowing. And it's like, well, I have to go out anyway.
Fulfilling? Would that be a better term?
Maybe. I mean, it's just milk. Maybe. But, I don't know.
Humans are animals. We need the wild.
There's something really nice about being wild. I can't lie about that. I love it. I mean, I talk to the cows at this point. It's nice. Go and get them, bring them to where they want to go, get them new food, make sure that they have water, make sure they're always fed year round in the most efficient way possible, get the milk from them, that supplies the thing, we make sure everything's in nice, neat condition. It's not just functionality, we like things to be beautiful as well, we actually do work on that kind of thing, and that's pretty standard. We want the farm to be a beautiful place, even though it's like more money and gets nothing for us. That's not rare. That's standard in the industry. Maintaining things for aesthetic quality. Not just, I mean, yeah, like there's property values or whatever baked into that, but I don't know. I'll never work indoors again. Even in a comfortable place before this job, before farming, I was in a factory. Concrete walls. It was brutalist and horrible. And there's things I liked about that. Like, don't get me wrong, if you work in that kind of environment, there's some really cool stuff. The engineering side of it was amazing. I looked after like 7 machines that were millions of dollars per machine. And I had to fix them all when they broke. It was really cool. And I loved that mechanical aspect. And my brain loved it.
Sorry, I got distracted thinking about potential scenarios for me to end up working in that environment. What was the job?
What, farming? Oh, the factory.
Yeah, what was the factory?
Bottling wine.
Ah, okay, yeah.
Conveyor belts, assemblers of cartons, machines that picked up sets of bottles and put them in cartons, weighing machines to check that things hadn't broken or leaking, sealing the bottles, labeling them, and then assembling them onto a pallet, wrapping the pallet, and then delivering it to the forklifts. All of that was machine based, and all of that was my responsibility.
Yeah. I'm just...
I love how that's the one that you're like, oh, I could do that thing.
No. I was wondering what all the machines were, because engineer machines. But
like,
thinking...
Did you see the shed?
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
But, sort of separate from that, I've always had I'm most of the way through it, I'm feeling full.
Yeah, come on, finish.
The bubbles filled me up.
Nah, fill it. Finish it.
Okay.
It's half the point.
And
then we can have a review in like 10, 15 minutes time. See if you're actually feeling it.
3.5, 4 hour.
I don't care. I mean, what's the rarity of this event? How many years is it going to be again until we get to see each other in person? We live
True.
like 7 hours away by drive, something
Yep.
like that.
8 hours if you stop for sanity when
yeah.
driving.
And I also work an average of 60 hours a week.
Mm.
So that's the other side of time. I'm glad that was empty.
Just thinking about, okay, so I'd always had an image as a sort of goal of mine to end up in, okay, permaculture, food, forest, homestead, something was the model I'd based it on, with evolutions over time, but like around a adobe house, not so keen on straw bale.
Sorry.
Adobe mix mud and straw, so
Okay.
it's a composite.
So being close to nature and reality.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Having a
Seems
garden.
interesting, the connection here.
Yeah.
The inefficiency doesn't bother you?
Inefficiency of what? The house?
The whole permaculture thing.
We have different perspectives on it. What do you see as the inefficiency?
No specialization.
It's the specialization in food production is not for everyone.
It's efficient.
No, what I'm saying is that the people who live with the food forest would be the specialists. One person living a food forest can feed several families. Possibly
okay, so
not.
you want to be the farmer in that scenario.
Yeah,
The food forest farmer.
there's a unworked out attraction towards that, which is lacking realism in the sense of practicalities, but an attraction towards being close to nature and an idealism associated with that, of course, which makes it hard
I think
to.
there's a fair amount of that, yeah.
Oh, yes, but even saying that, taking it a few steps more practical, like having a garden that I go out and tend, some plants that I take care of, um, that sort of thing's always been part of the end goal for me. And there's how much of that was a dutiful sense, oh man, there's going to be some slow reorganizing in my head over the next while.
Right. That's what we're here for. We'll touch base in a week and see how it goes.
Yeah, it won't be finished.
No, it won't.
Yeah.
Anyway, keep going.
But yeah, that. Oh, no, it's feels less certain now. It needs reorganizing.
Yeah, because you're re-questioning everything.
Yes.
Okay, we can say for sure that a part of your subconscious is saying, even conscious is saying, I need to be more close to reality and nature.
Reality than nature, or reality?
Reality and. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hence your comment about I like the small town and the farm. And you haven't even really gone on the farm properly yet. Should be tomorrow. I'm gonna get you cows. Yeah. Take you for a drive around.
There's definitely something spiritual to me, which it's very nebulous, but there's a feeling of this is better.
It is.
Yeah, there's the feeling of hard to pin down, but like here's grass, here's rolling hills, here's some trees. And sure, my sense of aesthetics would put more trees on, but
grass is nice. You can see further without them.
Yeah.
You get more beautiful sunset vistas.
Hay fever gives me a bias against grass.
Yeah, I have a little bit of that, but I actually seem to think there's a tolerance thing there.
Yeah, and I found self-salt pills were finally the pill that got me getting rid of it.
Yeah, see, I used to have it, but now I don't.
I
had hay fever in the city. I had asthma in the city.
Irritants and things.
Yeah, I don't have them anymore.
Yeah.
The fact that I outgrew hay fever by being on a farm. Also lactose intolerance.
By being around cows.
No, by drinking milk.
Oh, okay. From the cows.
No.
As in.
I was lactose growing up.
No, what I'm saying is the lactose intolerance outgrown by drinking milk that hadn't been processed since it left the
No.
cows? Okay, so just the being in the environment, drinking
No.
milk from the shop.
No, before that. I was just from drinking milk from the shop.
Okay.
Before I came farming.
That
I was lactose growing up. I drank milk.
But you hadn't left the city by then?
No.
Okay, so lost the lactose intolerance.
Yeah.
Okay, then
It's actually better now.
Mm.
It is a lot better now than it was when I was in the city. But yes, still the same.
Okay.
Cow's milk out the vat is amazing, by the way. Oh. As an example, mate that works at the place, at the cow shed, he will have coffee with milk. At home, he will have coffee with milk and sugar. Because just he can't do it without it.
Yeah, you lose some of the cream.
I have my protein shakes with milk from the vat.
Yeah.
Oh, the creaminess.
It's like trim milk. It's like it's water. It's white water.
Yeah, you're the bloody milk powder guy. You give me trim milk's bad, but milk powder.
Rethinking to happen. I don't know what will change.
Yeah, well, we'll give you a cup straight up. I won't actually like milk the cow's teat and put it in a cup and have you drink it, but we'll give you some out of the back tomorrow.
I'm not going to say it won't be delicious. It's the milk powder and the.
It's quite funny to do that in for a cup of tea or coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Because you get that, you know how you go to the cafe and you get like foam in your coffee or tea. You don't get it with tea, but with your coffee, there's like foam on it.
Mm-hmm.
That's like that. Because you're like going straight into the coffee, so it goes psh, and you get air in it, and that goes all foamy. Which I don't do.
Does the alcohol make you sleepy?
It's got a sedative effect. Yeah.
Okay.
It's also late at night.
It's like 11.
Finish your bottle. No, I think it's interesting to nail to go a bit further on that closer to nature thing that you're putting out, because you're always talking about the natural world and
there's a
your whole
inconsistency in what I'm
philosophy
saying
is like
as well.
going at that, but you live in a city and you're in like an office job, and yeah, you're trying to make the world better with your steam powered tractor thing, which is pretty cool. I'm all for that, by the way. I'm sort of the only reason I've had a go at you for that throughout this is the sort of environmentalist philosophy behind it that I think is somewhat an issue. But that aside,
it's not the sort of environmentalist
I don't think
thing
that you should stop doing it.
It's not something that's saying the poor should have less so that the environment is better. It's saying this can make the poor's life better.
Yeah, I mean, it's a convention.
Yeah.
And I still think the idea of like powering some form of steam powered tractor from like nuclear would be great, but that's beside the point.
I'm not sure if the tech's up to it.
No, it's not.
The physics is right, but
you get what I mean. Having a tractor that runs off fire would be pretty good on a farm. We have a lot of wood, like a lot. We're more than we need.
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna fell 6 trees coming up soon. We've got trees down over fences, we've got branches come off, all that could be shoved into fuel.
It would be, and it wouldn't be hard to plant new ones.
No, we do that. Yeah, it's
we
have more than enough firewood to sustain ourselves.
It'll be really interesting to discuss what the needs are for a tractor on the dairy farm and what you would need it to be able to do for it to be worth getting.
We tow
so tow hitch.
We tow several tons worth of food on a daily basis.
So 1.7 kilonewton meters of torque to the wheels.
I do not know the maths. I'm not an engineer.
It can pull a lot of load, like full 35 horsepower at 0.1 kph. Okay, maybe
still
not.
Means nothing. These numbers to me.
Okay.
We have a very big wagon that we fill with silage, and we need to feed to the cats. It is a lot of weight. The tractor is noticeably struggling if you don't do the gearing right with petrol engines.
Okay.
It can do it, but you just have to gear it lower.
What's the horsepower of the tractor?
120, 100 maybe.
Yeah, I'm not sure off the top of my head. I can't answer how well it would
I
pull
can
back.
point it to you and say that thing. Yeah, but you wouldn't understand the weight of it, maybe. But it's pretty heavy.
It's the rolling resistance that's the issue, and uphill resistance.
I am not an engineer or a physicist. I don't understand physics very well. Not my speciality.
If I know the weight of the stuff underneath the sort of tires, I can probably work out how hard it is to put.
That seems like would be very valuable information for someone who's doing tractor designing.
Hello.
Use case.
Yeah, I feel like the boss already has that data. He's done lots of research.
Okay.
Yeah. Once we've got this built, we can tell you how hard it can pull.
Okay, so this is like proof of concept, first design.
No, probably a bit more than that. The numbers are run to work out how hard it should be able to pull. I'm not sure how to apply the numbers I have to work out.
Okay, so he has a goal that is being targeted.
It's half proof of concept, half useful product.
It's prototype.
It's first useful product. It's not the most useful product. It's
Our case is pretty special case, to be honest.
Mm.
If you're selling this thing to third world countries, what you're really wanting them to be able to do is like sow soil or turn soil or something, which will be easier than what we do.
Yeah, 3-point hitch is a bit tricky on it because there's a big overhang past the back wheels to hold the fuel bunker.
I don't know what any of that means.
3-point hitch is the thing that lets you lift up the tray on the back of the tractor, or
oh yeah,
yeah, as opposed to just a single trailer hitch.
Yeah, we have a trailer hitch that's lifted up and down.
Yeah, we've got a trailer hitch on it at the moment as well.
Okay,
because
hydraulic system.
Mechanical difficulty and complexity of designing it.
Okay.
This is version 1. Version 2 we're planning, or future versions are planning to add things like that more.
If it does not have hydraulic grab systems, useless to our industry.
Yeah.
We need to be able to have grabs on the front that can be powered by hydraulics.
Oh, it'll have
which are powered through the engine.
Hydraulics, whether that's lifting up. There's stuff to work out there that I should stop talking about.
We have full arms on the front, on the back that need to be able to lift pretty heavy loads. And we use quick hitches on the back, which is effectively like a tow bar that can be raised and lowered so that you can hitch onto a trailer pretty easily and like pick it up.
So you just drive up to it, lift the tow ball up and then drive off?
Yeah. And then we need hydraulic system to power conveyor belts effectively to move things around in the trailer to feed them out. To bring the feed up to the front, push it to the side to have it pulled up over a chain with like teeth on it to throw it out the side. And then we need grabs to be able to pick up. So good amount of force to grab something, lift it, let it go and put it somewhere.
Yeah.
Which is considerable amount.
Yeah. Version 2 might be more powerful. I don't know what the design version is, but
full version 1 that is able to tow a thing over a distance with force. That's not nothing. That's a lot of use cases for standard farms.
That's what
dairy farming is a bit different.
Plus power takeoff potentials and attach a generator or run a machine directly off it. There's potentials for that in version 1.1.
We should have done timestamp when we started having a drink. Although you've only just finished it, so yeah. How about we do a check-in then? How do you feel, my man?
Sleepy.
It's late at night.
Yeah.
I'm feeling different.
Full. Yeah. The intense emotions have gone back below the surface.
Well, we sort of addressed all of the important things.
I
think that's far more impactful than the physical actually drank the drink.
There's a lot of sense of things to rethink and sort of what do I think about this now? I don't know.
Don't run away from it.
Yeah, I'm just not gonna go hunt it down right now.
Obviously, but I can understand it would be very easy to slide back into the established routine. You get a lot to reconsider, to be honest, from the stuff we touched on today. Whoa. Might have to re-listen to this.
Yeah, then we can decide whether it's releasable or not.
100% agree this is releasable. Sorry, I think this one is standard, must be released. Same with all the others.
Not aliens. ... Wait and see.
Yeah, we didn't even go into the other stuff. We can do the probably get us cancelled show another time. This is pretty mainline for us at this point.
What are we doing to get us cancelled?
I was going to tell you about my encounter with encounter. I didn't even say that.
And we have such different perspectives on how to interpret things like that. Although I suspect that we're using different
this
words
is the
for
end
the
of
same thing.
a very long show, which I think is an important one, but I'll be surprised.
Yeah, right now.
My encounter with potentially dark parts of the US government and my friend Earth, which got abducted and had things done to him. That was the story I was going to tell.
Next time, actually aliens.
And we're also going to talk about actual aliens, which I have also encountered.
And the actually reincarnation is sometime too, and...
Yeah, we got heaps. We got the metaphysics thing, we got so many stuff we've been putting off.
Because we keep coming up with more interesting things on the night.
This is pretty interesting. And I think this is, like, really important for you.
And rather draining.
Yeah. Time to go to bed?
Yeah.
Oh, well. That was impressive. Good job.
Oh well.
See you around.
Bye.